Essentially, from next week to the week after that, 2 weeks is a very long time within the festive period to not have medical workers on duty. Why is it so difficult to get what needs to be done?
And City, on that story as well, on Ruto talks seal devolution deal. We just need to go back and remember that all these promises that we are being given right now, they're not really promises. The Constitution clearly states what ought to be done.
The State of the Union address happened just about, a couple of months ago, and you're supposed to actually come and tell, according to the Constitution, what you have or you have not done. These are issues. We are discussing them all this morning. We'll look at that devolution conversation with Kimani Gunjiri in the hot seat at 7 o'clock, and we'll go into that and see what has in store for us. Good morning, everybody. It is 7 a.m.
Good morning, this is the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga. A big fire, the cause of which is yet to be established, has gutted down several rental houses in Mosquito Street, Kitui County. Witnesses to the fire have accused the county government of being negligent in taking emergency measures during fire incidents, especially in the area. The residents claim it took the fire department officials 3 hours to get to the scene after they reported the matter.
Ndungedila mkaaji wa Mosquito. Nilikuwa kwa nyumba, kutoka nje tukaona moshi. Tukasema ni takataka inachoma. Tukatoka, tukapata ni nyumba ya jirani inachomeka. Tulipokuja, mimi binafsi nimepiga simu. Nimepigia jamaa anafanya kwa kaunti simu. Akaniambiwa hayuko kazini, lakini akapigia mkubwa yule ako in charge of zimamoto. Akamwambia ametuma watu wako ground. Nikamwambia saa hii niko hapo na nyumba inachomeka na hakuna watu. Akaniambia narudi kwake tena. Na nyumba ikachomeka for almost 3 hours mpaka nyumba neighbor ikashika moto. Na wale vijana wanaitwa chokora ama wamokoka wanjiwezi, wao ndio wamezima hiyo moto. Wakitumia maji kuriski uwai, wanaingia kwa kisima, wanachota maji hapo kuzima hiyo moto. Na hatujaona watu wa kaunti. Tunaambiwa ngari iko Nairobi. Kwani Malombe alienda kuwa gavana wa Nairobi ama?
Hundreds of families in Nyamavila, Kayole, Nairobi have been left homeless after bulldozers demolished their homes. The demolition is as a result of a long-running land dispute that began in 2002 between a construction company and alleged landowners. The demolition operation was carried out in a fast-paced manner, with bulldozers breaking through stone walls and bringing down houses, leaving residents without alternative housing. Many families were shocked to witness the destruction of their homes without any government assistance.
Wakati nilikuja hapa, mimi sikujua hii manyumba ilikuwa ya mradi. Mimi niliruhusiwa property nikijua pesa zangu zile zote nimesanya kwa KDF nisiweke hapa, niendelee ukura pole pole. Na nikariba 900 million. Baada ya mwaka moja, ubomozi ukatokea.
This land belongs to Nairobi City Council. I have evidence to show this land belongs to Nairobi City Council. Only kama kazi yake ni kutumia pesa, anaharass watu huku. People die.
This latest wave of demolition comes after a similar operation was halted in 2018 following the intervention of former President Uhuru Kenyatta. Patients seeking medical attention at facilities under the Rural and Urban Private Hospitals Association of Kenya will be required to pay cash for services beginning January 1st next year. This decision comes after private hospitals accused the government of failing to address the payment of approximately 29 billion shillings owed to them by the now defunct NHIF. The hospitals also expressed concerns over reduced capitation amounts under the Social Health Authority, which they say has left them struggling to cover operational costs. The Shah's healthcare funding model has come under increasing scrutiny, with mounting concerns about its impact on both the cost and accessibility of healthcare. These complaints come at a time that President William Ruto said that Taifa Care was the answer to all challenges being experienced by Shah.
The challenges faced in transitioning to the Social Health Insurance Fund and the Social Health Authority reforms are due to the scale and ambition of Taifa Care. For the record, the scale, boldness, and ambition of Taifa Care are unprecedented, and we are confident that the challenges that became part of this program initially have now been overcome. I can already see progress that has been made. The naysayers are becoming fewer. I saw the media today, they were saying the other weeks, oh, this thing is not going to work. Now they are saying it is working, but it is creating two categories of Kenyans. Okay, that's good progress. At least we are beyond the point where is it working or not, okay? So we will move on to that other step, and we will demonstrate to them that, in fact, it is working for everybody.
And in the international scene, Donald Trump's felony conviction in the New York hush money case should not be tossed out because the Supreme Court's ruling on presidential immunity. Judge Juan Merchan his decision rejected one of several avenues that Trump's lawyers have taken to try to dismiss Trump's May guilty verdict on 34 counts of falsifying business records. That's the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
Spice FM, Nakuru. Online, mobile, and on radio. www.spiceradio.co.ke.
Kids, light up your festive season with Star Times. Renew your subscription for 2 months and get upgraded to the next high bouquet for 2 months to spend more time hanging out with all your favorite cartoon friends on our amazing kiddie channels. Enjoy more adventure, more action, and more fun on Baby TV, CBeebies, Jim Jam, ST Kids, ST Tunes, Toonami, Cartoon, and Boing. Renew your subscription today and get upgraded to Jingle with the Stars. Download the Star Times On app to enjoy all your favorite kid shows on the go. Star Times. Enjoy digital life.
Well, traffic everywhere, and not much of it to be seen, really. But it is beginning to build up. If you are around the railway bus stop, you will find that there are many vehicles. There are many of them stationary, not moving. Some are probably waiting for people to board them, but it's just one of those places where you have an intersection. Now, anywhere there's an intersection, anywhere there is some roundabout, you will find that there is a traffic build-up. Whether you're coming from Donholm, you're looking at Makadara, whether it is that you are looking at Mombasa Road. Now, Mombasa Road, my goodness, now that is a completely different story. Because now, if you hear of vehicles snaking along, these ones are crawling on their belly. It is beginning to move slowly. At some point, they will barely be moving. Those who are charged with finishing this particular development, please hurry it up. Please hurry it up. Let's hope that during the holidays you'll be able to do a better job. Well. Where else? Where else? Thika Superhighway, traffic is moving. Vehicles are beginning to increase. Traffic is definitely moving. But around Muthaiga Square, yes, there you will find many vehicles. You need to be careful. Folks, we are in the holiday season. Now, it's normally accompanied by the holiday mood. temper it a little bit, release the gas pedal a little bit, be conscious of people around you. Have a nice day.
Minutes after 7 o'clock on this 17th, is it?
16th.
That's what I said. On this 16th day of December, good morning to everybody. No, it's the 17th.
17th.
No.
Well, that's what I said.
I see what you've done and I raise you. Congratulations.
Welcome back.
Chapeau to you. I see what you've done. Well done, CT. Okay, so as we're getting into it, this morning at a few minutes after 7, and our conversation continues. We will be having a devolution conversation, but just saying good morning to you wherever you're tuned in across the world and right here in Kenya. Our live streams are up this morning on YouTube and on Facebook. Thank you for clocking in every morning with us today, and also welcome to our audiences on KTN. Good to be with you in the room this morning. All right. As we're getting into the festive season, flying into the holidays, how do you fly, CT, when you fly?
Well, as I don't have wings, no. I do not possess wings. But I do have the ability to ensure that I utilize the wings that other people have. Now, where do you want to go to? If you want to, well, okay, we'll come to you later.
Okay.
If you want to leave this particular country, what Emirates Airlines tells you is that there are 140 destinations, 140 from Nairobi that you can go to. Well, my sister, who was visiting and lived in Papua New Guinea, boarded one such flight. She was on her way to Dubai. Then from Dubai, she goes to Bombay, I think. Then onwards towards Australia and Papua New Guinea.
That's a long flight.
Yep. It can take you 2 days. It can even take you 3 days. It can even take you more. Depends on how it is you want to fly. But Emirates has this message for you. If you want to fly and you wish to travel in absolute and unfettered comfort, then start your journey not on the plane but before you get there. With Emirates Business Class, you get limousine service to the airport. When you board the flight, you are greeted with a warm welcome of very many choices to eat, to sleep, to drink, to enjoy entertainment, to work. What do I mean? What would you like to eat? Regionally inspired cuisine. Would you like to sit? Comfortable seating. Would you like to sleep? Flatten the seat and lie. Pajamas provided, duvet provided. I keep saying, pajama you keep, duvet you leave.
We say don't go for the duvet.
If you wish to work, Wi-Fi available. If you wish to be entertained, my goodness, the choices of the channels that are available to you, galore. If you want to sit and have a chit-chat, a little chinwag with your fellow air flyers, you will sit and enjoy some of the finest libation known to man. But all this at 40,000 feet in the sky.
I love it.
And when you arrive, you will be fresh, you will be rested. And as you go towards your business, the same service that took you to the airport will take you to your destination. Now that's Emirates Business Class.
Sounds like taking a flat into the sky.
It sounds like taking a really comfortable flat in the sky.
Indeed it does. All right. It's interesting because this morning also we looked at the story in the Business Daily about, jobs being halved. Young people demands have actually fallen by half. And also then looking at the youth population, KCB Foundation offers something and says, you know what, there's a different kind of option for you. you. What is that?
Yeah, now, KCB Foundation realizes that youth unemployment in the country is a problem. Now, they are talking in terms of around 12.7% youth who are like between 15 to 34 years of age who get out of colleges mentioned, and who are unemployed. Now, KCB says that of all these young people, they have a solution to that problem, that they are coming in to ensure that they improve on their skill, that at that point when they are out of these colleges, they come and add on that skill so that they are market ready. And through the 2G Ajiri platform, KCB has combined vocational skills training, business development training, access to finance and business mentorship, just to make sure that by the time you're done with your education, you are ready for the market. There is an employer that is waiting for you, and that the youth are trained in the key sectors with the highest job creation potential, including construction, manufacturing, hairdressing, everything right now that is considered to be that which the young people want to do. And if you want to get information on these, just go to kcbgroup.com/foundation. All this information is in there.
Fantastic. Way to go, getting into it this morning, and our conversation for this hour goes into devolution and some of these jobs actually that we talk about or lack thereof. And to help us out with that conversation this morning is a politician and former Bahati constituency member of parliament, Kimani Gunjiri. Good morning.
Morning, ma'am.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
How are you doing?
Chelewa kidogo.
Umechelewa kidogo.
Miaka ni hii unaona nyuvi. Lazima tunajikokota kidogo asubuhi.
Oh, okay. It takes a minute to rev the engine in the morning.
Oh, yes. I just came from Nakuru yesterday night. So I was a bit tired. I was in the farm trying to prepare some of. We are harvesting now maize, beans. So we were so busy. So I just came late. That's why I have been late kidogo.
Okay.
Good to have you either way, and
Yes.
thank you for being here. And
Yes,
once again, you're in the hot seat of the Situation Room,
Yes.
and we'll be having this conversation today. But let's welcome you properly, shall we? As you know, CT travels all over the place, just like you, and arrives very early in the morning with Proverbs from Africa. So how about he tells us what that is, and then you can tell us what you think about it.
But I see me always, how does it travel?
Oh, you don't worry. The man has some magic powers that we are not going to tell anybody about right now. But you know.
A covered mouth. Well, no, let me start again. Good morning.
Morning. Morning, brother.
See, revving the engine.
That's how old the people sometimes say.
Our proverbs for the whole of this week are from the Republic of Angola. Now, Angola is in the western central part of Africa. Western what? Central. As opposed to eastern, right? A covered mouth will not have flies.
Covered mouth will not have flies. I think covered mouth will save you a lot of talking many things.
One would hope.
Very true.
It will save you a lot. My mother used to tell me in our language, "Kega to me and kega." When you shut your mouth, it's better. That's what I think.
Okay.
And flies are a nuisance, so you will not run into nuisance or trouble if your mouth is closed.
Yes.
I see. That's a lesson if I think about it.
That's what I think.
Well, you know, we continue with that. And I think we could also probably look into this a lot further as we go into the conversation for today. Let's, you know, as we get into it, devolution has been, you know, top of mind over the last 11 years now. Since 2013 is when we saw devolution really come into place. And what it was to ensure that you decentralize government and its functions and make sure that development was now brought to the doorstep of the people. That was the main idea.
Yes.
It was constitutionalized, and then we had county governments with essentially 47 mini presidents, because that is what governors are essentially.
Pretty much.
And we said, okay, we started to see people go back home, as it were. People were employed by the county governments, and there are certain functions that then became devolved. There are a few functions that are not devolved yet because they still feel as though they need to be part of central national government, and then, you know, we see how that would work out. Yesterday, the president talks about sealing a deal that was going to make sure that devolution actually works. And when we talk about sealing the deal, essentially it is money. There was a lot of pending money that was sitting, we don't know where. But for some reason, that money now has been, at least by the words of the president, unlocked. And that now means that certain functions, including health and agriculture, in this next year will be sorted out. State House was the venue where governors met, and he ordered the immediate disbursement of pending funds. Any money that is owed to these counties, give them their money. And what is being touted now is that it is a major win for counties, and that what it will also mean is that there will be full control of these devolved roles. That previously, without this kind of money, it meant that you were at the beck and call of the person who had the money. And so you couldn't really do anything. So let's start off from that premise and ask, will we see from this that devolution now will sit and take its position because of the release of this money? Is it the silver bullet that will make sure that this development that we speak of actually now is brought right to the doorstep of the people with this action that we saw yesterday?
Well, I doubt a lot, because they are talking about the big things of devolution, and there are some things which are supposed to be devolved in the county. In the small one they have they achieved on that?
Like which
have they achieved? So this is just politics, because even the little they have, they could have already achieved. Counties, they are crying there's no money, they are not able to buy medicine, they are not a lot of many things. And now when they added another lord of the faction, surely is it going to work? You know, the worst thing we have, and that's why maybe we have reached somewhere, I'm sorry to say that, to hear names being called, baptizing name to the president, because you say, but it's not working. I think that's why there's a problem. It's not working. And I don't think even where we are now, that the counties are doing good. There's also a problem, a big problem. There are some counties, they do very well, but very few. But I think we are going to devolve more corruption. I think that will be a good thing to say. We are going to devolve more corruption from the government to the county government. But I don't see it working properly, because the little you have, you should show us, is it working and why is it not working? So if we succeed on the small one, then even the big road, when it comes, we can be able to succeed. You see, today, we talk too much, but action is not there. Where is this money going to be found to bring in the counties, where counties right now, they are crying? You see, the biggest thing, even if you want to devolve things and what, if we don't stop completely corruption, we are doing nothing. Nothing. Because the corruption which is the corruption you are just seeing in your eyes. Public are seeing the corruption. Why can't we first say now, we have stopped all those things, let's deal with the corruption? And this thing, for us to succeed in Kenya, the three arms of the government, they must work very strongly together. Assembly, judiciary, and executive.
Right.
These people work in the different hands, and they do things, when they want to mess, they do things together, all of them. So few things, or few of them, who can give us the direction and make sure that we are implementing things. You saw the other time Judge Naura. Surely, he is a judge. When he comes in the floor and says what he said, that's what Kenyans had seen about the corruption, about the way the case of Gachagua was done. So if you don't stop these things and agree that now it's our time to stop corruption, I think we are too near but too far, reaching where we can be able to put this country together. So I don't agree with that, although it's good to say that because it had been mentioned. But for me, we are still in the rough road. to reach there.
You asked a question, and I think it's actually a point of note, because the money that we're talking about in terms of pending bills, we're talking about in the hundreds of billions.
Yes.
And where would the money have come from? Where was it? And if you knew that it was supposed to go towards these devolved functions, then why was it not put out there before? That's on one hand. We're also talking about revenue that should have gone to counties. I believe that we're a couple of months behind in terms of money that should have gone to counties before the month of December. That maybe some of it has been released. We're still waiting for a little bit more of that to happen. And most of that actually then does go towards recurrent expenditure, whereby you're paying salaries and you're paying for this, that, the other thing. In terms of development, we did also see from the control of budget the last couple of weeks the report that was given in terms of who was developing and or not, or who was spending money on development. Still some questions around that. But then if to really say that devolution is happening, form follows function, essentially, and in order to have that, you got to put the money behind it. So where was it all of this time? But what I hear you saying, Gunjiri, is that this is not a true position. Why would you want to circumvent a process which is constitutionally mandated by not giving the money? Why would anybody want to do that? In plain sight, it's not even hidden. Why would you want to do that?
Well, I think we are in the mood of politics. We started the politics of 2027 very early. So many people will get off road because of talking many things which you want to promise people, but it will reach somewhere, then it will backfire because people ask, you are told this, it has not worked. Then it will backfire. I think it's good to be seen you are mean because you are talking the truth. But when we keep on saying these things will happen, this will happen, as you are saying, what stopped them to give money in the county? Because counties are crying. 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, they have no money. And that is more money. Why could they not have been given that money so that we say we have succeeded giving these people money? We owe them nothing. So now we can go in the second things which we had not devolved. I think that's what we should show the people when we say something. It is working and it's been seen. There is saying and implementing. Today, what we can agree is that we have collected a lot of money according to the way I see. Maybe I'm not employed, but I see people who are employed in a pay slip. Maybe they have been chopped about 47% of your salary. And maybe also some other small things which have been chopped. Where is this money going? We could have said, we are going now to devolve this because you have collected enough money, and now you can see how we are succeeding. I think we are just on mess even now. And it's so dangerous. And that's why we are seeing Gen Z and also the public rejecting the government in many things, because they are not seeing what the government is seeing working and it being implemented in a good way. If there's money, this thing to be implemented slowly. And again, the problem we have with this government is the speed we are going at. I think if we know where we can put the speed governor in the government, we should put the speed governor because they are rushing too much. See now about this issue of SHA. We could have done it slowly. Make sure that from transition from this NHIF to SHA is working on the slowly way, in a small way. But we won't just close at once and do something which it will take time. Like now the people have been told that register in the phone, I don't know, do what, online. How many people in the village can be able to do this? And again, also it's not working even if you try to do in online, in our phone. It doesn't work. So we need to do the research first. How long will this thing take before we shift from NHIF to SHA? But the problem is only one. Somebody who has been led to do his own work. Nobody. It is a ministry, but there is somebody who is supposed to say, don't do this, and it is now. If you don't follow this, you are going to see. No, now your hands are tied because the speed which you have been taken, it cannot work. I think that's why we are getting a lot of problem. We cannot change everything at the same time. Everything you change at once. it will bring problem.
Now, Ngujiri, I hear you speak on a lot, but when you talk about the matter to do with the devolving all these pending devolved roles being given to the counties, and if we could just read what has happened is, top on the list was the gazettement of transfer of devolved functions that are still being held by the national government. The gazette notice, according to the resolutions, was to be executed December 16th, that was yesterday. Now, the joint communique stated that the corresponding resources related to unbundled functions shall be transferred to the county governments commencing July 2025. Now, this is a matter that the president says the pending functions that still remain with the national government needs to be let go to the county governments. But we need to go back and realize that the release of these functions to the devolved units ought to have happened in 2013 when President Uhuru Kenyatta took government. That has not happened, and the current government has just continued with the bad manners that the presidents that had been set earlier. Therefore, as the president talks about releasing these functions to the counties, means resources as well need to get there. Yet, as we speak right now, the shareable revenue of November have not been released. So who is playing cat and mouse in this entire conversation?
But you see, if the faction which are remaining to be devolved, are they the faction where they are going, counties are going to get money? That would be a very good point. If they are going to be devolved, they are going to make them have money, not a burden. It's money. That can make sense. But we know that's been loaded again in some complication of issues, and they will try to solve them, and the money will not be there. Right now, what we are talking, to me, is it will not work. And we are with you here, today and tomorrow. It will not be able to work. But you see, sometimes in politics it's very tricky. You see, your people are annoyed, counties are annoyed, you don't have money, you have to divert them and tell them the other faction we are going to devolve. And you clap your hands thinking there's something good that has been said and it's going to work.
What I hear you say is this is just another political gimmick being thrown
to me. Because I'm not seeing it working. And if it will work, it is within the constitution, but it will not work in the way people think it will work very fast. Because there is no money in this country. There is so much loophole of money being looted. In fact, some counties, one of these days, people do demonstration and saying, we don't want counties, some areas, because of the theft, stealing, everything, fuel. If you see the cars of the county, sometimes I go at night when I'm going home, when I'm going other safaris, they are just busy doing business in the farms of the people. And there's the fuel of the county, carrying their goods, hiring vehicles, hiring the tractors, doing contracts in a different way. So we don't have actual control. If we can do control properly even in the county, let's think, they are doing their own business, my friend. Sometimes even fully bitter, but you say, what do I do? The car is going at night, it's carrying, like now, we are going for holiday. These cars will be everywhere. Why are you going there with the vehicles of the county or also for the government when we are going for leave? Why are you using them? Why can they not be packed and save that money?
Gujiri, you're essentially saying that even with what we see now, release of money, I mean, you've said it before, but what you're doing now is you're just transferring corruption from one place to another, mismanagement from one place to another.
Yes.
So let's assume that this money actually makes its way to the counties. You're not seeing that it's going to suddenly magically produce any kind of further development. What's going to happen, according to what you're saying, is that it will just be an avenue for more people to take money and put it in their pockets.
First, show me what you have done with what you have. If you show me that, I'll have confidence of saying even if I add you, then it's just like the bank, my sister. You see, the bank will give you money, but they'll still wait and see. If you ask for more money, what have you done with the first money? Have you done well? But if you're not done well, you cannot be added money in the bank. No, they want you not to teach you about money. They want to know you have learned about business using the money. So if we are not actually seeing what have been there and it is working, and we want to add you more money, happened is we have a lot of waste in this country.
So
a lot of waste.
Ngunjiri, from where you sit, should these devolved functions be released to the counties, or should they remain with the national government?
You see, neither in the national government and neither in the county, there's still a big problem. But I think it is better to stay with the national government and be released slowly. You have had people crying health. Are we all here? Health have been crying. No, we want to go back national government. I think we have had that, all of us. We want to go back national government. We want to go back national. Counties are not capable. They've been saying that, Mama, all the time. And in a very small thing, medicine. If there's no medicine, we are devolving this function. There's no medicine in the hospital. What are we talking about?
Indeed.
Just medicine.
Those are questions, and the conversation will continue. I think let's take a break on this point, because then the functions of county, how are we actually making sure that the nitty-gritty is being taken care of? This development that we speak of, is it actually happening? How to actually grow your money is a conversation that we do keep having. Standard Chartered says, looking to secure your wealth and plan for the future. Standard Chartered Priority Banking is your real ideal partner in growing and protecting your financial legacy. It's the only international bank in Kenya with 110 years of experience, trusted experience for that matter. Standard Chartered connects you to a global network in 50 plus unique markets and is offering specialized, expert, personalized advice tailored to suit affluent Kenyans just like you. So with investment options like foreign currency bonds, mutual funds and Kenya government bonds, you can earn returns in foreign currency, Kenya shillings as well, USD, British pounds and euro. So are you ready to start? You need to send an email to wealth.kenya@sc.com today, and let's start building lasting wealth together.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
A holiday in South Africa sounds something like this.
The brunch with girls, the sport,
the paragliding,
the bucket list,
the vibe,
take
the company,
everything,
the energy.
No, for real, babe.
And we made new friends.
Yes.
Nice.
And cheers to sweet escapes.
The sweetest one.
Your adventure in South Africa is just around the corner. Get 15% off flights when you book a holiday to South Africa on KenyaAirways.com. Come journey with us.
The weather with Spice
the weather
FM.
in Nairobi as we speak, we are enjoying highs of 24 degrees and lows of 15 degrees. Kakamega County, highs of 30 degrees and lows of 15 degrees. Pretty hot in Kakamega County there. And in Mombasa, 31 degrees highs and lows of 25 degrees. And in Nyeri town, highs of 25 degrees and lows of 14 degrees. We go to Malindi, that is in Kilifi County, highs of 31 degrees and lows of 25 degrees. Pretty hot there. Across the borders, we go to Kinshasa, Congo, DRC, highs of 32 degrees and lows of 23 degrees. Addis Ababa, highs of 23 degrees and lows of 7 degrees. And in China, highs of 6 degrees and lows of -3 degrees. And in Paris, France, highs of 8 degrees and lows of 6 degrees. That is your weather.
Promises have been fulfilled. The traffic has started to build up. I wouldn't say nicely, because if you're in a jam, you wouldn't be feeling so nice. But yes, traffic is increasing. Cross sections, intersections, roundabouts. Traffic lights, yes, that's why the traffic lights are there. You have to stop at some point. But the traffic build-up behind, that is what is concerning. If you look at Thika Superhighway, yes, traffic is beginning to increase on the Thika Superhighway. And the usual places, Muthaiga Square, Muthaiga Roundabout, yes, you will find traffic there. If you are looking at some of the roads that are within the city of Nairobi, you're talking about Waiyaki Way, there is traffic, yes, it's beginning to build up. You look at Waiyaki Way. Mombasa Road, as I told you before, it's now gridlock. It's not moving. Well, it's moving so slightly, you probably wouldn't notice it. If you are looking at, my goodness, this traffic, look at it this way. Wherever you are, if there is traffic, please be careful and be mindful of other users of the road. Thank you.
Coming in at 21 minutes to the top of the hour, Kimani Gunjiri is our guest this morning on Kenya's Biggest Conversation, and we're looking at devolution. There have been talks about this, and it's yesterday we saw what would be considered by many a big move by the president, where he said, you know what, money has been owed to the counties for yonks. Release this money, let them have it so that we can see critical functions such as health and agriculture actually be sorted out at the county level. And so let us go into the next year knowing that that money has followed the function. Right? Let that be done. Gunjiri says not so much. That is just an exercise in futility.
Let's do a little back movement. If you look at the allocations that these devolved functions have within the Kenyan budget, you want to ask, okay, of the money that is budgeted for these various functions, how many of it actually goes to the counties? Health, how much of it goes to the counties? This has been the issue. The function is in the county, the money has not been in the county. That is, since we put in place devolution.
Yes.
Let me repeat. The functions has been in the county, but the money. What the national government does is oversight. What the national government does is to ensure that the things that are planned for, in terms of even the overall policy for the nation, are actually done. But if you're talking about the nuts and bolts of providing health care, for instance, it is already with the counties. Now, so what are we saying? Are we saying that all the money that they should have had since we promulgated this, but yes, I'm asking the question, are they going to now receive it? Or are we also be given an account of the monies that the national government has withheld all this time, what it is that they've done with it that has been, again, for the benefit of the counties? Because the never-ending problem with all the healthcare workers is as a result of there not being enough money to A, pay them, B, enough money to find, to buy commodities. In short, there hasn't been sufficient money to simply ensure that the functions of the healthcare system is functional.
And City, you actually raised something that is very critical, because each and every July, when the budget is being read and prepared, we talk of X amount is allocated for healthcare function, but we never really get to hear that this money has been allocated to healthcare and will go to the counties, because it is a devolved function.
This is the amount we've given to the counties, because essentially it should be inversed. The money that stays the national government is more than what goes to the counties. And it should be the complete opposite. Because the actual operationalization is with the counties. Same with agriculture. Okay. Now, this didn't start in the time of Ruto. It started in the time of Uhuru.
And we say it is a continuum.
Yes, it is, because the president now was a deputy then, and this is what they did, and they are still doing it. Okay. That there will be money, yes, there will be money. You know why? That money that the national government has been retaining, this is a discussion. This time around, can you take what the counties need to them instead of keeping it? To put it in very simple lay terms. Now, will they? And Mheshimiwa Ngujiri raised a valid point. If just the normal division of cake, normal this is what the county should get at this particular point in time on a monthly basis. If that has been a problem, and nobody has told us, they keep saying the money is not there. The money is there. Me, I am of that particular view.
Yes.
There is always money. Yes. But the issue of counties and them getting their share, that has always been a problem. Always. There is no time it has not been a problem. On the one hand, the government says we haven't received the money. National government says we have sent the money. It's the same saga over and over and over. You bring governors here, they say, look, they keep saying they've sent the money. I am telling you, we have not received the money.
This is interesting because just a snapshot around counties and listening to individuals who made the move to go back home, essentially, will tell you that, okay, they've not really seen much in terms of what has been done. And one of the things that we do here, I mean, take your pick, Kajiado, Isiolo, Nyeri, Migori, big one, who say, okay, what have we seen? People have come, they work for the county. Yes, we see the streets being cleaned, we see lights on, but should there not be a little bit more than that happening at the county level? So begs the question, when we say that money has not gone to counties, Gonjiri, when we say that there's a delay, or there's often a delay, and that by the time the money actually, what is that thing they call that opens? IFMIS. That it opens when the year has come to an end, and then they can only actually deal with certain money at certain times. If such things are constantly happening, do we then say that there is a deliberate effort to stifle devolution so that it does not actually work? And one would ask why. For me, the why is very clear, because what that means is that you have central control of money. So does that equal wanting to stifle devolution when the money doesn't come, when form actually does not follow function? Do we then say that the plan is to make sure that devolution does not work?
You know, sometimes you ask yourself questions and you don't get the answer. Because when the governors sit down with the boss, with the president,
which they did again yesterday.
Yes. The words they talk there is not what they talk when they're outside. They talk different things.
Like what?
Of accepting many things. Because they would ask the president, because our salary or the money supposed to come in the county is not coming. Why? Can you tell us why? Because is it the work of the president to say, I have said now the money to go in the county. In the county.
That is actually not his job.
Yes. That is not his job. And that shows then the money is there. But there's a condition.
They just choose not to release it.
Yes. Because when you say, let this happen, and I've said that, and it doesn't work. And you see now, I just mentioned about the corruption. You see, you have had some counties having 750 accounts. 750 accounts. Accounts of putting money. Yeah? And you know, those accounts.
Accounts of stories told.
Yes, and those accounts are also being charged by the bank. Yeah?
Yes.
And you know why? For me, thinking, I'm not sure, but thinking, it is part of the corruption where you get this money, you put here first and agree with the bank of the interest, which you are going to get. You are hiding yourself, not showing that you are doing corruption. But you have put this money here, then you say, I have not stolen anybody's money. But there is a lot of money in interest. And you like to be that money to delay working so that you get your cut on interest. So those kind of things, because when you hear Auditor General, and I like the Auditor General, the way she says things the way they are on her side. Because now, if you say that release that money now, that money then it was somewhere. Where was that money kept? Because then you just say open there, this is the key, open and get that money. That means that money was there. That money was staying there. Why was it staying there, not to go in time? You see, that we're asking ourselves, there are many things we should do, not put politics, but let it work according to the constitution, the way they are supposed to work. And after that, now you can see the biggest problem I'm seeing in the government and also in the counties as you had said, the former President Kenyatta, when Ruto was deputy, there is something they were saying, and I thought it was a very good thing. Don't give the contract if you don't have money. How much do we have pending bills?
So 900
billion.
How? Why did you give contracts when you don't have money?
But Mheshimiwa, you see, we've had that debate here. Part of the reason why you can give a contract is because it has been budgeted for and the money has been allocated. You see, for all the money that are allocated for these projects, when you hear of a project that wasn't completed, you expect the money that was supposed to be spent also available because the project was not completed. But we have a case where projects are not completed and the money is also not there. So you're asking, okay, so where did the money go to? Because this money was meant for this project.
Yes.
And the pending bills, if we go back to the time when Uhuru Kenyatta was president, there was a time he said, look, let's stop this nonsense. I'm allocating money that we finish these pending bills. Papi. The money was allocated. Did the pending bills go away?
No.
So, even the money we are borrowing now, we are borrowing in the same condition. We are borrowing this money to come and finish this project. Where is the initial money which was allocated for those contracts? And you see, that's where the corruption, and that's where we need the three arms of the government to work together and the judiciary to help us.
Because essentially what we're saying is
yes,
a budget means that either the money is there or you already have earmarked where it is coming from, that it is going to come, essentially.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's why you have certain processes that take place with budgeting. So there's money that is already there and that has been allocated, or you know that KRA, for example, is going to go tax the living daylights out of Kenyans and that you will get some 1 trillion somewhere. You know where that money is going to come from. So then it becomes very difficult to understand later why on the same projects which were budgeted that you will have a pending bill. Because what were you thinking? Where did you think you were going? What did you think you were doing?
Yes.
You had a budget, you had a project, you have lines for it, then now the work has been done, but you have pending bills. What sense does that make? Now, if we see that there will be money in the next fiscal year, because now essentially what we're looking at is 2025, 2026, if there will be that money available for these devolved functions, should we be castigated for thinking differently, that something different will happen? We will probably see the same thing happen over and over again, because we're not talking about something else. We're still talking about money going somewhere where previously we've not seen a requisite action.
Let me tell you, we have serious problem we are supposed to address than talk about devolving some of this functioning.
Oh, so those things are not important. Really?
To me, they're not very important. There is important things which are there, and serious ones. About the pending bills, people who are given contracts and they are not paid, you know you must go in the bank and borrow the money. And this money now, you see, the interest is changing day to day. Now the interest is up to 25, even if a bank has gone up to 23. You see, central bank says reduce the interest. That's just a language, but doesn't work. There are people. I'll give you an example of one or two of my friends. They did work
for the county.
For the counties. And they borrowed money in the bank. They went and took their title deeds of Mudaiga or wherever in the bank. They were given money. Then they did the work. They were not paid. It's a deal. The bank is coming up with interest, and also the workers are chasing them as employers of the project. Then he saw this thing is going to be too much, and my property is going to be sold.
Auctioned, yes.
Auctioned. He went and took some vehicles which he had bought for contract and what, to see whether they can also add the value of the interest of the bank. The cars did not make change. He left there, he went home and persuaded the father and the mother, give me your title deed, my money is stacked. I see whether we can be added some money. I see whether I can be able to
solve this problem.
He was given the title deed. Then these things did not work.
Oh dear.
Then the auction came in. My question is, and I'm saying these are the things we should deal with. Why should my government make me poor and die, and make my father and my mother die because of what I did right? I did contract in the right way. Are those not the urgent things to be done? If then it happened, these things have been sold. The auctioneer has come with the kangele. Mama anashikwa na ugonjwa, mzee anashikwa na stroke, mzee died or the mother would die. Then you yourself, you also get into the problem. You'll be sick. Then your children trying to follow these things. It is in the courts day by day. And the court says, and the lawyers, let me tell you, we're in mess, all of us. The lawyer will say, my learned friends, I will not be there for that day. Let's look at the diary. Then the case will be pushed 6 months. And the judge will be very happy because you just like, yes, it's like he's reducing his job and throw the file. It goes and goes and goes. Even when the judgment will be done, it will be too late. Why can't we pay people their money? They're paying bills. We stop everything. And you see, if the contractors are paid that money, then you fill that money in the ground because you not take that money outside. It will just be circulating within the system. You pay the hardware, you pay the place who was carrying this chuma, kila kitu. So the money now will come. That's another way. Don't see paying that person, but that money will come down and you feel it within the economy of the people down. But if you don't do that, why should your government make you be auctioned? And we say, we are going to release this certain percent. The others, we are going to see what you are going to do. Why? I did for you the job.
You know the reason, there's a reason why every time we have this conversation, the mention of the former and the late President Mwai Kibaki has to come into the discussion because he introduced something that some of us in our living memory had not encountered, where you are contracted to do something for the government and you're told your paperwork is in order, wait for the payment. And it comes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. It as in that happened in the country.
It comes. You actually find you have been paid. You can actually get shocked. Oh, they paid me. And it was normal. You did not need to follow your money. You didn't need to. You're told, your paperwork is in order. You'll be paid. You got paid. There were no wild promises. There was not fulfilling a promise with another promise.
Yes.
There was no telling you that the only way you solve an existing problem is by creating something new, a new entity, without telling you how it is that problem could not have been solved, because if there was a problem, it must have started somewhere. And if you look at the genesis, who knows, you might have been able to solve it. And how it is, you couldn't upgrade that particular system so that it could become better. With every solution I hear this government putting across, it raises more questions than answers. And yet, the solution is supposed to be an answer. But it is preferred, it is talked about, and unfortunately, more questions arise.
And City, you actually raised something very serious. And here I see all devolved functions pending transfer have been unbundled after mutual agreement between the national and county government. What mutual agreement? It is the law. Devolve these functions. The constitution mandates you to devolve it. There is no mutual understanding of friendship. Follow the law, period.
Yes. And you see, when you devolve, also other problems comes. You devolve, and you devolve with the people who are working in that ministry. You devolve them. But when you devolve them, the governor would like to create employment for his friends and his people. So he also creates a job to his people. And it is devolved with the people who are doing on that ministry.
Not all of them.
Not all of them.
Not all of them.
But for them, they will take advantage. And that's what I want to tell you. You see, they also create advantage of creating the job to them, their people. And that's why you see the budget of the counties, the salaries comes about 80% or 90%.
Yes.
So there's no money for investment at all. Now, again, that now devolving, it creates again a big problem also in the county. The management issue. There are governors who are doing very well, very well. And you would not think that they can do it when you are seeing them, when they're asking for the vote. But you come to see the end of the day, they are doing something which you can be able to say and appreciate. They are trying, although there's a problem.
There's a problem.
Yes.
Do you think, and I think even as we wind up this conversation, Gonjiri, do you think that devolution actually is the way to go to foster development in Kenya today? It's been 11 years of this kind of complaining. It's been 11 years of this same conversation.
Yes.
Do you think it's the way to go, to insist that it gets better, or to go back to where things were before?
You see, it is good if the structures and the law, as my brother have said, can be followed. Because I remember, because I come from Nakuru, County Council, they were collecting money. Collecting money. And they were being given sometimes Latiff, something very, very small. They were building schools, they were building a nursery school, they were building roads, they were buying land in the making centers, and it was working. In fact, there's a day in Nakuru was number 2 in the country, in Kenya, number 2, because of the functioning. Today, we talk about the money we want from the government, but we don't talk about the money we have collected. Where does that money go? You see, they reach somewhere, there are some things that have been paid cash. Look at the parking fee, my friend.
Where does
Kenyans are nowhere. It's a big problem. I come and stop my car here, coming to work or to do something, I have to pay. I go in the industrial area to do something, I have to pay. I stop in town, go in the bank, I have to pay. All this money collected.
Where does it go?
Where does it go?
I think that's a question to end this conversation, and I think those are the thoughts that need to be top mind as we go into conversations into the future. Kimani Gonjiri, former Bahati constituency member of parliament and politician, has been our guest in the hot seat this morning. Thank you so much for being here. The conversations definitely continue. It's 7 a.m.
This is the news. Why I'm Leah Ubaga. The Teacher Service Commission has invited applications from teachers to fill 19,000 senior administrative vacancies. The announcement is a reflection of a dire need for teachers in management positions, as many have stagnated in the same job groups while others perform duties of administrators but in acting capacities. TSC indicated that the positions include from chief principals, deputy principals, senior lecturers, senior principals, senior masters, secondary teacher 1, senior head teachers, deputy head teachers, as well as senior teacher positions. Senior procurement officers in government have been moved in an attempt to deal with rampant corruption in the public service. Although National Treasury explained that the changes are designed to address the existing gaps and to rationalize the human resource supply, authorities have in the past resorted to the action to discourage corruption. Some 515 officers across government ministries, departments and agencies, including Office of the President, are affected by the transfers announced by National Treasury Principal Secretary Chris Kipto in a circular to all his colleagues and accounting officers. MPs have pressed the National Treasury to account for 161 billion shillings in debt repayment over 3 financial years starting 2020. This follows a report by Auditor General Nancy Gathungu indicating that Treasury did not provide adequate supporting documentation on debt servicing for the 2021, 2022 and 2023 financial years. The findings by the special audit by Gathungu have prompted the Senate Finance and Budget Committee to open an inquiry. The committee, led by Mandera Senator Ali Roba, has been tasked to seek a detailed explanation for the external debt repayment and why Treasury failed to provide adequate supporting documentation to the Auditor General. Ex-Bahati MP Kimani Gonjiri says the release of devolved functions from national to county governments should be done gradually. Gonjiri says this is because there is still a number of functions like health that counties are unable to handle, adding that there is a lot of corruption in that level.
First, show me what you have done with what you have. If you show me that, I'll have confidence. So if we are not actually seeing what have been there and it is working, and we want to add you more money, then we have a lot of waste in this country. You see, neither in the national government, neither in the county, there's still a big problem. But I think it is better to stay with the national government and be leased slowly. You have heard people crying health. Are we all here? Health have been crying, go back national. Counties are not capable. They've been saying that all the time. And in a very small thing, medicine. If there's no medicine, we are devolving this function. What are we talking about?
Nyeri further questioned a report by Auditor General that recently revealed the numerous accounts owed by counties, stating that it was proof of the rot that's ongoing across counties.
750 accounts of putting money, and and those accounts are also being charged by the bank. And I'm not sure about thinking it is part of the corruption where you get this money, you put here first and agree with the bank of the interest which you are going to get. You are hiding yourself, not showing that you are doing corruption. But you have put this money here, then you say, I have not stolen anybody's money, but there is a lot of money in interest. And you like that money to delay working so that you get your cut on interest. So those kind of things, because when you hear Auditor General, and I like the Auditor General, the way she says things the way they are on her side. Because now, if you say that lease that money now, that money was staying there. Why was it staying there, not going time? You see, that we're asking ourselves, there are many things we should do, not put politics, but let it work according to the constitution.
And finally, the shooter who opened fire at the Abundant Life Christian School in Madison, Wisconsin, was a 15-year-old student. Police Chief Sean Barnes said she died of a self-inflicted gunshot.
Today at 10:57 a.m., our team was called to the Abundant Life Christian School in reference to an active shooter. We know that 3 people are dead, including the suspect shooter. We know that the suspect shooter was a teenage student who attended the school. At this time, we're not releasing the age or gender of the student or any other identifying remarks about the student. 2 other people that died were a teacher and a teenage student. 6 other people were injured. 2 students are now in critical condition in the hospital, and these injuries are considered life-threatening injuries.
That's the news wire. I'm Le Obaga.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
A holiday in South Africa sounds something like this.
The brunch with girls, the sport,
the paragliding,
the bucket list,
the vibe, the company, everything, the energy.
No, for real, babe.
And we made new friends. Yes.
Yeah.
And cheers to sweet escapes. The sweet escapes.
Your adventure in South Africa is just around the corner. Get 15% off flights when you book a holiday to South Africa on KenyaAirways.com. Come journey with us.
Well, there is a definite distinctive jam on Mombasa Road. That traffic is not moving at all, at all. That is, of course, on your way to town. If you're moving away from Nairobi, the traffic is definitely moving. If you're looking at Thika Superhighway, traffic is moving. Remember I mentioned the railway bus stop? Well, the traffic at that particular place has increased. The traffic on the Nairobi even expressway is actually increasing. If you are looking at Thika Superhighway, you're talking about Muthaiga Square, the traffic has increased. You're looking at, well, let me just mention, you're looking at Waiyaki Way, you're looking at Wangari Maathai, you are looking at Kiambu Road. Traffic has increased everywhere. And it's going to increase, and it's going to increase. So please be careful. Understand that other road users have the same priority and privilege as you. Have a good day.
actually 8 o'clock where we are this morning, a few minutes after 8 o'clock, 9 after 8 on this 17th day of December. Just getting all the ducks in a row, I's crossed and, T's dotted, things like that. I did that intentionally because I know you're looking at me. Okay, fine. I's dotted and T's crossed.
Okay, good.
Are you happy?
Delighted.
Fantastic. Into the third hour of Kenya's biggest conversation this morning, and our conversations continue, but let me tell you where to go. You're looking for a place to go where it's going to light you up for the Christmas season. It is Sarit Your City. This Christmas, Sarit Your City is the ultimate festive destination. So it started all the way from the 28th of November. It's going to go through to the 15th of January. Step into a magical world of dazzling decor. You can meet Santa Claus. He does exist, Dennis, no matter what you say. You can also meet the Grinch for people who don't believe in Christmas. That guy will tell you Santa doesn't, even though they're on the same floor. And Rudolph, the reindeer, not the dog, spreading cheer from the 1st until the 25th of December. And you can enjoy live choir performances every weekend until December 22nd. So you want to head on down to Sarit Your City, also where Sarit Your City will be hosting Africa's first ever Light the World giving machines. So you can actually contribute essentials like farm produce, farm animals, food and clothing to bring to those in need. You can maximize your experience with the Sarit's loyalty app and earn and redeem points. You can pay for parking, you can transfer those points, and you can send digital gift vouchers to your loved ones with ease. There is the Masai Market every Wednesday and Thursday, and the Sarit Kids Corner every weekend. Remember, on the 18th, our very own Edward Quatch on the Spice Drive will be live on ground at Sarit Your City, bringing the festive vibe straight to you. You can get all your details at www.sarityourcity.com. So that's what you can do this festive period. Time keeps going, so get on down to Sarit Your City and enjoy all the festivities this season. And if you decide to fly, CT's got the tea on who you should fly with.
Well, if you're a bird, you don't need to listen to what I'm saying. But if you're not, you actually want to fly, you want to leave the country, not necessarily for holidays, but any other time when something needs to take you out of the country, this is what I want you to consider. How do you really want to fly? Do you want your journey to begin at the airport, or do you want it to begin before you get to the airport? Well, Emirates business class tells you that your journey begins before you get to the airport. You will have limousine service to take you to the airport. Once you're through with all the check-ins and all the stuff that happens with your luggage, you actually get to board the plane. Now that's where the fun begins, because you are then introduced to a whole new world of exceptional treatment and exceptional flying. Whether it is what you want to eat, whether it is how you want to rest, whether it is where you want to work and how you want to work, and how you want to be entertained. Everything will be at your disposal, and it will be the best that money can afford. Whether it is the drink you will have, whether it is the meal you will have, whether it is the rest you will have. Why do I include rest? No reclining of the seat here. That seat can be flattened into a bed. And to make your sleep sound, you will have pajamas. Yes, those things you wear when you want to sleep. And there'll be a duvet to cover yourself with. Now, I need to repeat this. Pajama you keep, duvet you leave where you found it. Yes, no packing the duvet, okay? Emirates business class treats you like the special person that you are. And when you arrive at your destination, again, the same service, limousine to your destination. Not only will you have rested, you'll have been well fed, and you will have been well entertained, and you'll be all rounded.
There you go. Flying this season, fly with Emirates business class. Okay, so you know what? Our guest this hour is Dr. Dominic Menjo. He is the Food Security Advisor in the Executive Office of the President. He's our guest this hour, and I think that Dennis is going to tell you something about one area where you're definitely involved, clearly, is agriculture. And the KCB Foundation is essentially making sure that young people who are looking to really be involved in this sector, and what the KCB Foundation is doing with them and how that can be involving for them.
Yes, indeed, Dr. KCB has recognized the fact that over 1 million young people enter into the labor market annually, and with the unemployment that exists in the country. KCB Foundation, through the Tujajiri program, is telling these young people aged between the ages of 18 to 34 that we are coming here to make sure that we give you the skill, because they recognize that majority of these young people leave school but have not entered into colleges or gotten into the labor market with the skills that they deserve or that they need in order to get employed. So KCB is coming to ensure that they give these skills so that they can be able to start and grow their enterprises. Now KCB, through that Tujajiri program, has actually created 150,000 jobs, trained 35,000 young people, and incubated over 10,594 youth, and disbursed 26 million shillings of loans to these young people so that they can start their business and be able to do something great for the Republic. Now, KCB says that you not only just get the skill, but will also give you the tools of trade that you need to start your business. Are you into, I know you are into matters to do with food security. If there is a young person who's into agriculture, they will give them the spraying guns to make sure that they go into these farms and spray, give them loans to be able to get their pandas, their shockers, to be able to come till your farm and make sure that they are able to get into the employment sector. And through that, they are saying if you want to talk to them through it, the government should also get into that. Just go to kcb.com/foundation and all this information will be availed to you.
There you go.
Excellent.
Welcome once again, Dr. Menjo, to the conversation this morning.
Thank you.
Karibuni sana.
Asante.
We saw you about a year ago.
Yeah.
And here we are back to have this conversation about, food security, giving us an update in terms of what's happening, because it's a big ticket item for government. Okay. And of course, you being in the Executive Office of the President, the food security advisor for that, we'll be having that conversation this morning. So thank you for being in the hot seat today. We're going to welcome you to the conversation today with today's proverb. And Siti is going to share that with you, and then you can tell us what you think about that, and we can get into it properly. Is that all right?
Thank you.
Okay.
Proverbs for the whole of this week are from the Republic of Angola. Okay? Yes, it is a country with a population of, not too many people, 37 million. Not too few either. But there it is, capital Luanda. The official language spoken in that country is Portuguese. But the national language, there are four. There's Kibundu, Umbundu, Chokwe, and Kikongo. How many national languages do we have in Kenya? You're all Kenyans, so I'm asking the question. How many national languages do we have in Kenya?
National, there's one.
Two.
3, 5.
It's two.
Two.
Swahili?
And English.
Yes.
Okay.
A covered mouth will not have flies.
He cleared his throat.
Yeah, simple enough. Proverb. Nakuru, what do you think the Angolans were trying to tell us?
They're saying that, ideally flies follow some form of stench.
Yes.
Basically. And sometimes what comes out of our mouths can be stench, and if it's covered, you would not attract those flies, basically. So be careful what you're saying. Thank you.
Exactly. You could attract something, that's for sure. All right. Good to hear your interpretation of that. And even as we get into this food security conversation, there are very many things that come up in that today. But you sit in the office of the president. Food security is one of the big ticket items, like we mentioned before, when we talk about what can be provided. If we give a little bit of background, 2024 saw us come out of 2023, which was a terrible drought year, right? 23 out of the 47 counties were heavily affected by this, and we saw millions of people really on the brink of starvation. We saw that there had to be a buyout of farm animals, cattle. We saw that there were many that died. There was huge loss. We came into 2024, and then there were floods. And again, there was destruction of agricultural, harvest. There was loss again, and affected, whether we like it or not, food security. So can we start off with an update in terms of where Kenya is today with food security, and again looking at what exactly food security means?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Okoh, and thank you, City and Dennis, for having me again. Actually, it's 2 years.
It's 2 years
since the last time I was here. And when I came here that time, you remember I shared our vision, our plan under the better. Remember, in our office, we track transformation. That's why it's called bottom-up economic transformation agenda. So we look at three things. Things that has to do with the masses in any field. Masses. The number two, it has to be economic, so it's no longer social. And then it has to be transformative. Because in terms of food security, we're asking ourselves, 60 years after independence, we're still almost saying the same things we said when we were 14 million people. Now we are 52 million people. So we had to come up with methods and ways of ensuring that we don't go back in the same circle every year. So basically on better, we had 5 key pillars, which is agriculture, which is the key pillar. Then we have MSME. Then we have housing. Then we have a digital economy. And then we have the health component. Of course, all these have linkages to food security. Kenya being an agricultural country, and 75% of our population relying on agriculture, then it's important that agriculture performs for it too. So our role basically in the Office of the President is to track those transformation agendas. We don't do everything that the ministry does. And to do that, we focused on 3 key areas. We focused on first, making sure we are food secure. We looked at those key value chains that ensures we are food secure. Then number 2, we reduce on imports. Remember, when we just came in, we were importing food worth 500 billion, considering the dollar then, because the dollar was what was also making it move that high. Then we were also focusing on value addition, just to make sure that whatever we export has value. We increase the value of what, because as you realize, we export most of our agriculture export raw, and we are getting very low percentage of its actual value. And on food security, we are focusing on those staple foods, just to make sure that our people have food on the table. Remember, we came in when we just came in from a very bad drought, and we also had a lot of issues on food security. We were very food insecure. And because of that, the key staple food was maize. And because of that, you remember the Sophoria revolution and all those things that were related to this. So the focus was to do a quick intervention to ensure that people have enough food on their table. And the quick intervention, which was cutting across, was the fertilizer intervention. Because fertilizer cuts across value chains. People thought it was just about maize, but the fertilizer was going to all the key food items: maize, rice, beans, sugar, and many other food, livestock feed, were also relying on this fertilizer. So that key activity was implemented, and because of that fertilizer, I think we can say we are safe on almost 3 food items now. We are safe on maize, because in the first year we hit 67 million bags against our requirement of 44 million bags. So you could see we had an excess of about 23 million bags in the first year. Then this year, 2024, because that was 2023. This year, 2024, we're projecting to hit 74 million bags.
2024 ends in 13 days, 14 days.
Yes, it's already, because based on our data now that we have on the ground, we actually, and the acreage planted, we're getting about 7.4 74 million bags. So,
if I may ask, Dr. Mendra, when we talk about that, these bags have been collected, where are they? Are we talking about NCPB short storage? Where are these bags? Or are we saying that this is what farmers have said they've collected? Or is it in a central place whereby you will say it will be released into the market later? Is it actually somewhere sitting?
It's spread across the 3 areas. Remember, the first store is at the farm. That's the beginning of food security. Farmers stock their own maize. You remember, some of them actually produce for subsistence. Just want to produce to make sure their families are safe the whole year. So that's the first store. Then the second store are in various warehouses, including cereal boards and the like. And then the third one is now in milling institutions. Okay. So all this is spread in the 3 areas. What we are sure is we planted 6.7 million acres of maize, and the average production has risen to around 11 bags from original 8 bags, just because of this intervention on fertilizer. And these are so for maize, we were actually worried this year that we were going to have a price failure because of this excess number of bags. But good enough, our region, there's been crop failure in the surrounding countries, and this has helped us somehow stabilize our prices in this country. So that's why the price of maize dropped initially to 3,500, but it has come back to 4,000 per bag, which means there's also price stability for farmers.
I have to ask, when you say this amount for a bag, okay, is it a price that is fixed so that anybody who has planted maize and wishes to sell it knows what they should sell it at? Is it the price at which the government pays for the maize when you want to store it? And is it a price that the farmer considers to be adequate for his labors and for the product that he's selling?
Thank you, Sid. Basically, the price ideally is market driven, ideally, based on supply and demand. But government intervenes occasionally to stabilize that price by buying a certain stock, like this time 1 million bags, just to stabilize the price for those who really can't get it. And the current price of 3,500 set by government is completely within the cost of production. The farmer is making some margin. Remember the fertilizer subsidy program. The price dropped all the way from 7,000 shillings per 50 kilo bag to currently about 2,500. So that drop in fertilizer, and that's normally the biggest cost, has enabled the farmer to start making margins even at 3,500. Remember when they were buying at 7,000, even paying them up to 5,000 was still not breaking even. Mm-hmm. So now that has come down significantly through that intervention.
You use the word stabilizing. What does that mean exactly?
Stabilizing means the government buys stock, ideally for food security, for stocking, but at the same time it does two things. You stock to make sure that in case we go into a bad time, the government has something to release to the population, to the millers and the like. But at the same time, on this other side, the price they set also regulates the price, basically. Because if left alone, with this big number of maize now that is being produced, sometimes people would end up buying a bag at 2,000 shillings. And that would be unfair to the farmer. So what government does is to fix that kind of a price, buy a certain volume, and that on it. So the government acts as another market for the produce. that way stabilizing the market.
Yet, Dr.
Go ahead.
Yet, Dr. every time the government seems to be setting these prices that they want to, with which they want to buy these maize from the farmer is always complaining, in the sense that the input that they put into producing a bag of maize is much more than the offer that the government is giving. Therefore, as we talk about matters to do with food security, the farmer is always willing to sell outside the country so that they get the highest return to the product that they have. Therefore, is it a question of the government is setting and shooting the farmer on the foot?
Yeah, actually, that was the case previously, when, as I said, the fertilizer cost was very, very high. But what happened over time, when the price of fertilizer came down and productivity went up, because price is a factor of productivity. Yeah. So if your volumes are low, if you are getting 5 bags per acre, definitely your cost of production would be all the way up to 5,000 or 4,000. And therefore, this kind of price would be low. But currently, our P&L is showing that the price is about 2,400 shillings. So if you are paying 3,500, is still making. But the point is, with enhanced productivity, definitely the cost of production comes down, because you are using the same cost to produce more bags. And I'll tell you this, we are still the most expensive. Our maize is still the most expensive in the region.
Meaning it's the most expensive to buy?
Yes, because if Tanzania, theirs is lower. Of course, their production system is still different. Uganda is also still lower. Their soil fertility is still very good, so they use very little inputs and still produce. And Kenya, because we've really pushed intensive production for long and structured fertilizer regimes and things like that, we sort of messed our soil ecosystem. So productivity came down. And that is why there was a direct government also intervention on the type of fertilizer to be used, because our soil had become acidic. Our production was not going up anymore, it was coming down. And with that affected the cost of production. So the effort has been, let's change the type of fertilizer. We're doing a serious soil analysis, sampling for the whole country, to now determine the real fertilizer to be used for every region, so that's not also a general one again.
Because I have to ask at this point, when you talk fertilizer, I'm a layperson.
Yes.
When I hear fertilizer, I just hear fertilizer. So what alternatives do we have really in terms of fertilizer, and which of these varieties would be useful, helpful to our soil and for us as well? I mean, what is available and what is it that we can actually get to ensure that we optimize on what you're saying?
Okay. Thank you, City. You remember when we started in 2022, the main fertilizer used was called DAP. It was mainly DAP. Research showed that DAP increases acidity. It's a very fast, with intensive input, you get very fast growth, increase in production, but for a short time. It's a sprinter. And then the soil messes up.
Yes.
Then now is when, after this government came to power, said let's look at our soil fertility issue, and we brought in NPK 2323. And initially there was a lot of resistance because people are used to DAP. But that first year, because of that NPK, is when we jumped our production from 36 million bags to 67 million bags, almost doubling. Of course, with the good rains and all the other positive factors that came in. So that was the jump. But then now we're still using NPK, but the government said it's not right to just use NPK. We need to have targeted fertilizer application depending on the soil.
On the soil.
So this year, January, we're going to do now a national soil survey sampling to ensure now we can do now what we call soil health program. The soil health program does not necessarily use fertilizer. It can even mean, actually from analysis, you might find you don't need fertilizer. Maybe you just need lime. In other areas, maybe you just need organic fertilizer.
Right.
So now is when, and because we are working with a group of young people we call agripreneurs, they've been allocated that area, they'll have a treatment model for each area, where now you'll say, okay, for your area, these were the results of your soil samples, and therefore the recommended treatment for you to grow healthy soil is this. Not necessarily just the fertilizer.
Very interested in what this soil survey will then be able to give in terms of information to now see how you can increase yields. Let's take a break and we'll come back and maybe go into that a little bit more. Dr. Menjo is a food security advisor in the office of the president, and we're having a conversation about food security and its updates. Updating you at this point and asking you the question, what steps have you taken to make sure that you can start to create, grow and manage your wealth? The first thing you need to do is send an email to wealth.kenya@sc.com. The folks at Standard Chartered Bank, for the longest time, and when I say the longest time, 110 years, have targeted experience in helping you do just this in 50 plus unique markets around the world, and they're just an email away. With the few coins that you have, with the grand ideas that you have for the future, where you want to put your money and how you want to go about it, they're in the business of holding your hand and getting you to do that today. Grow, manage, create wealth with Standard Chartered Priority Banking. It's wealth.kenya@sc.com.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
This festive season may not be the happiest moment of your life, but there's always something to celebrate, something called life. Where hope has died, every new year brings with it new hope, new beginnings, and a chance to do everything that you hadn't done before in the hope that it will turn better. Rejoice in the reality of your life. Rejoice in your health, rejoice in your family, rejoice in simply being where you are at this point in time, and rejoice in having the ability to have hope as you look into the future.
And the weather in Nairobi are highs of 24 degrees and lows of 15 degrees. Kakamega County highs of 30 degrees and lows of 15 degrees. Now we go down south to the coast where Mombasa is having highs of 31 degrees and lows of 25 degrees, pretty hot in Mombasa. We go to the lakeside city of Kisumu where we have highs of 29 degrees and lows of 20 degrees. And across the border to Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, highs of 31 degrees and lows of 25 degrees. Johannesburg, South Africa, highs of 29 degrees and lows of 17 degrees. And in Mogadishu, highs of 32 degrees and lows of 25 degrees, pretty hot in Mogadishu. And we go to Paris, France, highs of 8 degrees and lows of 6 degrees. And in China, highs of 6 degrees and lows of -3 degrees. That's your weather.
Sugar and spice and everything nice.
Traffic everywhere, literally. Many more cars. The areas that I mentioned earlier on that didn't have much traffic now have more and more and more traffic. Well, it is the time when people are now moving into the city, and towards the end of the week, they'll be moving out of the city. But the thing about traffic is this. You who is on the road is part of it, and it is you and others like you who cause the jams. So be careful. Drive safely. Be conscientious that other road users need the space as much as you do. Have a lovely day.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Continuing with our conversation at 22 minutes to 9 a.m. Our guest for this hour in the hot seat is Dr. Dominic Menjo, who is the Food Security Advisor in the Executive Office of the President. And as we went on to the break, we were talking about this, which I find extremely interesting, when we compare to the region, and in terms of performance agriculturally with produce, food now, Kenya is at the tail end, by your own admission, for different factors. Uganda, better soil, inputs, cheaper, obviously because they don't have to do so much. Tanzania, you said factors. You didn't tell us exactly why that difference is there, but still doing better. Kenya messed up with the soil at some point and now trying to get an idea of what is happening with the soil, if there are acidity levels in certain part of the country. Because if you're doing 64 million bags in 1 year and then 74 million by the end of this year and another give or take 14 days, then we're looking at improved numbers because of fertilizer inputs and things like that. But if you go to the root, no pun intended, of the issue, is that the soil has a problem. So then trying to look at solutions for this, and this soil survey essentially should give you answers about what's happening with the soil. My question then would be, so you find out that the situation is maybe bad, maybe, a lot worse than you imagined. What would be the solutions to get the levels that are acceptable to then be able to have produce whereby the barns are actually full, and that you can guarantee that if there is a geological issue, weather, floods, drought, that Kenya's people are fed and that food sources are secured? What would you do?
Okay. Thank you, Okoh. I think basically when we talked about soil health, as I said, is more on a specific area. We've split the country basically into close to 20,000 farms. Mm-hmm. And we've put there somebody called an agripreneur, which ideally would have been an extension person. This is a framework. If you've been seeing the advertisement by the counties, they are hiring agripreneurs. They are locked into an area. Mm-hmm. That area is where we're doing the soil sampling for each of them, of the 20,000, taking close to 77,000 samples. And once we find out what's the status of that soil first, then you come up with a treatment model for each of those areas. The treatment could be, as we said, the different types of fertilizers. Mm-hmm. Now, then you track the soil health status based on that treatment over time to ensure that the soil health is growing or improving, to ensure that whatever is being produced, and again, aligning also that soil to the different type of value chains or crops that are supposed to be produced. That way, even though, our system is basically a smallholder, unlike Uganda, in Tanzania, our land sizes have really gone small.
Right. There's still large tracts of land in Uganda.
In Uganda, yes. Some region of Uganda is still very big, and they've never gone into all these things we've gone into. We went intensive. We used our 20% of arable land, and which reduced to 17% due to climate change, and now 15% through real estate. We are down to 15, and our population has almost tripled. We were doing this when we were 14 million. Now we are 52 million. So you see, reducing arable land, increasing population. So we had to intensify production, and everybody thought fertilizer is the silver bullet for this.
I have to ask this question.
Yes.
Can we reclaim some of this land that we've lost? Or can we increase some of the less arable land? Other people have done it.
Yes.
So I'm not talking about something that has been done.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a by the way. Because if we're using 20% of our land, you mean there's 80 sitting there?
Yeah.
Maybe you'll come back and tell us if there's a plan that we have to reclaim some of this land that seems to be sitting there.
There's a very clear plan for that. Yeah.
Please continue.
So basically what we were saying, we went into intensive production.
Yes.
Then we again fragmented land to levels that are not economically viable. For commercial production. So it was more around subsidized. Then for long again, we left the farmer alone. There was nobody working with the farmer. The extension structures collapsed. And therefore, farmer was doing now whatever is coming.
Their own thing.
Their own thing, and not even their own thing. You know, the marketers also came in with their products and said this to the farmer. Nobody was there to protect the farmer. And that is why we are bringing in these 20,000 agripreneurs, allocating them a group of farmers to work with them to enhance productivity. And so the sustainability model is based now on a framework. We've developed a framework to ensure we have a food security. The framework is made up of multi-value chain cooperative, because we are smallholder. So for us to achieve scale, we have to go into cooperatives. And I think I explained that the last time.
Yes.
Then number 2, we're doing aggregation centers. This is just to support markets. Aggregation center is a 2-acre facility in a ward. And basically we are focused at the ward. So when a farmer takes their produce, they ensure it can be bought at a fair price. Okay? And we are linking this to warehouse receipting system. Warehouse receipting system is such that if a farmer delivers their produce to this aggregation center, even if there's no immediate buyer, there's somebody, he'll get a receipt, and he can go to the next financial institution and access some of the money or that produce while waiting for the produce to be sold. Then we are setting in now the extension system, which now we are calling it agripreneurs. I think you saw the president launch them in last year.
Yes.
And the whole idea why we are calling them agripreneurs, they are market system rather than a production system. You know, for long we just push farmers produce, and then all of a sudden it's production and then there's no market. But this one we are linking the market to the production. So this guy is more of an industry person rather than a government person. So then we have a data system, what we are calling KIAMIS, where we have registered 6.45 million farmers already. We know them, we've GPSed them, we know the value chains that they are running in. And then we've set a circle in every ward. And the idea again is to ensure financial access for the farmers, so that even when they deliver their produce, they can still access inputs without necessarily waiting to be paid, because there's a linkage between the circle, the aggregation center, and the agrovets, where they're collecting the inputs. And you know, when they lack inputs is when production also goes down. So basically that's the framework that we've developed. We've been working with the counties. It's taken these 2 years to set up that framework. Some are already in place. I think the agripreneurs are in place. The data system, we're now the country with the largest number of registered farmers in Africa. Yeah, GPS, you know, they're up to their location. We've also set circles in 1350 wards already that are ready to run. We are working on aggregation centers.
What are those?
Aggregation centers are market centers within the ward. You see, part of the reason why farmers also struggle, they produce, but they can't access the right market. So you get these funny kind of markets where for potatoes, you have somebody with very big guineas, those funny, or middlemen come in because farmers cannot access what? Market. And middlemen, you know, they have their own other agendas. Sometimes they earn more than anybody in the value chain. So we have those aggregation centers, and the whole idea is to do the linkage, link production with the marketing and also input supply. But with the financing where the circle is. So it's a center where you also do good infrastructure, road infrastructure, put water and put electricity, because we also realized in a ward, we have a lot of our infrastructure that are not working because of lack of either power, 3-phase, or lack of. So you find a lot of dead capital
Yeah.
within the world. So we're bringing them together so that within this area we have like a value chain on coolers, which currently we're only using about 20% of capacity of what you have, just because sometimes some don't have three-phase power, some don't have water. Then you have a dryer for like maize. You have all these machine, a chiller for potato, and so on. So then a farmer knows when I go to this place and deliver my produce, it will be bought and bought at a fair price.
When we talk about food security, though, it's all encompassing here, not just the availability of food when there is a tough environmental situation like drought or flooding, but we're also talking about the availability of it even in areas where it is not naturally available, and which is responsibility of government to make sure that there's food. I mean, we know that, right?
Yeah.
So when we talk about food security for areas, I mean, what we often say far-flung because we are thinking about Nairobi. And so that is far-flung as compared to the capital, all right? Now, there are folks in this country today, whether there's an environmental issue or not, have an issue accessing food, affects food security. So how then does this mandate touch on those areas even today? We can have 74 million bags in the barn.
Correct.
But there are people who don't access that food.
It's true.
How do we...
Very, very true.
Yeah.
Okoh, that's very right. In fact, that was our biggest problem. Is a distribution issue because of not knowing what is being produced versus where the consumers are. And this one we are collaborating with the State Department of Health. You remember the 110,000 community health promoters. You know, they're visiting every homestead once every 3 months. What we've done is developed a tool where they also capture family nutrition, so that we look at what are the consumption in each homestead. This has never been done in this country ever again. So that we know consumption of each value chain and where. So that as the farmers are producing, it's aligned to the consumption. And we know the excesses. So that is also an exercise we are doing this month of February, to just find out who is consuming and where.
This month of February, this month of December.
Next year,
next year. All right.
Next year.
I thought I had
During the month of February.
Okay, I thought I was...
During the month of... Sorry about that. So basically, that system will also help us sort out what we call post-harvest loss. Because what is happening is that we really didn't know what the farmer was doing. We just knew when he arrives to the market with the produce. And sometimes he comes with a very perishable good. So he comes, he needs to sell today and the market is not there. So in 1 day or 2 days, the produce is spoiled, it's lost. But with this system, we have agripreneurs who are managing a given area in their farm, working with the farmers. So they know what's being produced. On this other end, we know the consumption pattern and where, which county, and also the nutrition status. We are linking this to the nutrition report, especially on child nutrition and the like. So what will happen is that actually production will be targeted production based on the consumption patterns, and the excess is what we'll do either for food security, now storage, stocking, while at the same time now thinking, can we export?
So on that, I've got to ask you that I still cannot get the images out of my head a few years ago when there was a milk glut and milk was being poured into farms, right? In this country, it happened.
Correct.
And so when we talk about food security, I'm curious as to what the interventions are currently to ensure that, number one, that wasted doesn't happen in the same country where, again, there are individuals who don't have access to this food. So what mechanisms are we talking about? Dehydration of milk, for example, desiccation of maize, drying of other food items, such as meat, which may be traditional but are vital for survival today. And I think that would be all-encompassing then when it comes to food security and the mechanisms to ensure that food is available all around for everybody at every time.
And Dr. just to buttress what Ndu is asking, there's also the aspect of the fact that the country that we live in is pretty much dependent on rain-fed agriculture. What are the plans in place for us to move towards intentional irrigation-fed agriculture so that year all in we have food ready for Kenyans?
Okay. Thank you. Let me combine the two questions because they followed each other. Basically, when I described food security, that time I said the food must be available in quantity, quality, and accessible in terms of cost. But more important is knowing what we need versus what we have, because that has also been a big issue, and that has been a data issue. That's why we really focused on registering these 6.4 million farmers and find out what are they doing to know what we have. Then we use what we call per capita consumption of a value chain, depending on the nutritional status, depending on WHO requirements, to calculate what we need. For example, for us, maize, because our main energy source, we need 0.73 of a bag for per person, per capita. That's per year. Yeah. So we calculate backward and say with 52 million people, what do we need? And because we also know now how many acres are under maize and what is the average productivity, we are able to balance the two. Now, the other question now comes to what you asked earlier about distribution. Yes, we have produced, but we don't know. There's somebody else starving in Wajir, and potatoes or cabbages are rotting in Nyandarua, which is not, when you really do the balancing, as a country we still have scarcity, but it's rotting. So this is why we are setting up this now second survey of finding out where do we really take this. When we produce, where do we take it? And now production is guided by the consumption need. So when you have, this is basically a data issue, and that is why for these agripreneurs on their phone, they have value chains. Every time they visit a farm, they are updating. This is what the farmer has done. So today, we would know how many acres of potato have been planted today.
Agriculture is a devolved function, is it not?
Yes.
Now, we have a ministry, national government, who, according to what we understand, is in charge of policy.
Yes.
Are we saying that we do not know from a policy perspective what each county produces or what each county needs? You will tell me we do know.
Now we know. We didn't know.
We did not know.
Yes.
Now we know.
Yes, now we know.
So, do we produce enough food to feed this country?
On value chains specific, like maize now, I've said is okay. Beans, we are not yet there.
My question, exactly, you're answering my question.
Yes.
You are. Go on.
Yes. Maize, we are okay.
Beans?
Beans, we are not, because we need about 10 million bags.
And right now we have?
We produced 6 million. But I saw a good figure. Now we have stock.
Okay. What other foodstuffs do we need?
Okay, rice. Rice, we are completely...
Shortfall is
immense. We need we need 1 million metric tons.
Milk production and milk products?
Milk, we are deficit. But now, that brings me to the question you asked about that glut. You see, sometimes it's poured and then we say we don't have. We are importing 1 billion liters of milk. But, this rain-fed approach to production is what's causing this. Because the time we have in glut normally is the time we have short rains. And we have some crop residues. The farm have been harvested. And therefore animals access feed and water. And every single cow of even the non-dairy, even the 3 million that we milk, if they add just 2 liters of milk, you just move to 6 million liters. And this added on top of what was existing. And our capacity is like 4 million liters maximum. But you've added 6 million. So all of a sudden, there is no market. Our idea is to take all those cows to produce now at that level of glut. So that our processing capacity is also brought to that same level. So that now we have just enough for ourselves and also for export.
Okay.
But now we only have a high glut for 2 months. Then after 2 months, we'll go into another 10 months without. And that is how now Uganda milk finds itself here. We start importing. It's because of that seasonality. Now, let me answer the issue of irrigation. I think we've been struggling on the issue of irrigation.
Yes.
We've been relying on rain-fed agriculture for most of our value chains. Yes, we have areas in our country that have enough rains, so you can have and through here, but it's a very small area. So what we are doing is actually to try and do the dams. You see the many dams that we are trying to do is actually to enhance the issue of irrigation. And more so, in the 85% of the country, the assets, the one you said, are not productive. So we're setting up a feedlot because the main economic activity in the assets is livestock. And you know what has been going on. During the long drought, we end up losing 2.5 million animals during the long drought. During the normal drought like this year, you lose about 500,000. Just because of two things. They lack feed and water during that same period. So what we're doing is setting up an area, because where you had a 5,000 acre facility, we're calling a feedlot, fenced, and we're doing a dam inside.
Okay.
And that dam is to do irrigation within that 5,000 in every ward.
To take care of that.
So that we stock enough feed for the animals, but the feed can also be crop residues. So we plant for the people and harvest the crops to residue to be used by the what? By the livestock. And you stock for 3 good years while waiting for the long drought. That is how to save the 2.5 million animals.
2 years is too long a time for you to come and give us an update about what's happening with food security. I think, necessary to have you more often. Dr. Dominic Menja, who is a food security advisor in the office of the president. Thank you for being here this morning. We'll talk with you again in the future. Asante Sana. An opportunity to remind you, send an email to wealth.kenya@sc.com. Learn how to grow, manage, or grow your wealth with Standard Chartered Priority Banking today.
Good morning, this is the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga. NTSA Road Safety Manager Samuel Musumba says over 4,000 fatalities as a result of road accidents have been reported this year. Musumba attributes the accidents to speeding, drink driving and unroadworthy vehicles.
Road trends are really changing because we look at our statistics. December, yes, but also January seems to be hitting so high. This year has been so bad for us. From January to just the end of November, I was just looking at the statistics. Already hit 4,282, way higher than what we had last year. Same time, last year about 3,900, thereabout. So it's about 9% increase. Over 90% of these numbers, when we analyze just behavior, people are speeding, everybody seems to be late for something. Now, coupled with that is the tendencies now to drink and drive. It has become so kawaida thing. That really has made things so bad. I don't want to rule out the issue of roads and the kind of vehicles we have. But again, how are we behaving in that space?
Musumba says to reduce such incidences during this festive season, they've devised technological methods that they'll use to conduct road checks.
What we are now moving towards to is, even as we do the physical enforcement, we're also looking at an approach where enforcement towards change of behavior, so that you don't just have physical police officers on the road alone, but now we also want to leverage on technology. Moving forward now, we'll be monitoring you without necessarily us being physically on the road. If somebody knows Big Brother is watching, then they will change. It's technology, and this is really where we are going to. We've tried out now some pilot cameras on some of our roads, and they are working. But those cameras are able to pick your number plate, then you get a message that your vehicle is speeding and all. In fact, we have now gone to advance it further. It can also pick your facial impression. But if you doubt that, hey, this was not me, then we're able to produce that in court and say, look, it was you who was speeding.
Detectives investigating mega gold scams across the country have today arraigned a U.S. citizen at Milimani law courts for allegedly participating in a fraudulent transaction worth more than $1.35 million. Following his arrest upon arrival in the country from Dubai, the suspect, Sergio Patrick, was charged with conspiracy to commit a felony and obtaining money by false pretenses. Sergio, according to the DCI, allegedly orchestrated the scam by posing as a seasoned former banker, investor, and legal consultant who specialized in navigating hostile and complex markets, which he claimed were frequently avoided by U.S. businesses. A female student who sat for this year's KCSE exams is receiving treatment at Migori Level 4 Hospital after she was attacked by her boyfriend, a Boda Boda rider, in Suna East Migori County. Ngege Sub-Location Assistant Chief Selina Nyango says the suspect, identified as David Odhiambo, allegedly assaulted the 18-year-old candidate, Whitney, and is currently at large. Nyango stated that police have launched a manhunt for the suspect and are confident he'll be apprehended soon. And finally, police are searching for a man suspected of attacking his brother with an arrow and a machete, killing him on the spot. Kerio Valley police say the suspect was embroiled in a dispute with the late brother. Further reports indicate that the two then met and decided to bury the hatchet earlier this year, only for the younger brother later this year to lure his elder brother to the nearby shopping centre and attack him. His 35-year-old brother Edward Kisang, now deceased, sustained injuries on the neck and right side of the chest. That's the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
This holiday season, feast, shop, and jingle all season at Sarit, your city. From November 28th to January 15th, 2025, Sarit transforms into your ultimate festive destination. Immerse yourself in the holiday spirit with breathtaking decor. Bring the kids to meet Santa, the Grinch, and Rudolph from December 1st to 25th, and enjoy live choirs serenading you every weekend until December 22nd. This Christmas, be the light. Join us for Africa's first ever Light the World giving machines starting November 30th. Donate essentials like farm animals, food, and clothing to spread the joy of giving. Celebrate the season with Sarit. Download the Sarit Loyalty app at visitsarityourcity.com for all the details. Sarit, your city, your festive destination.
Get in the loop this festive season with the Loop Shopping Festival. It's the ultimate shopping experience, bringing loopers the best deals and offers with up to 5,000 Kenya shillings extra cashback when you pay with Loop at participating stores. Download Loop today on Play Store or App Store for all your festive deals and offers. It's not an app, it's a lifestyle. Why wait? Loop it.
All right, so taking a look at where we are with traffic this morning, it is pretty busy coming off of Thika Superhighway, and you'll get into the CBD okay as you get towards Murang'a Road, and then there at the Globe Cinema roundabout, some traffic as well. Mombasa Road outbound towards the city is crazy. The construction continues, and so there will be traffic the whole day. If you're planning on using Mombasa Road, you're going to need to have your wits about. It's going to put some hair on your chest this morning, that's for sure. Mombasa Road then beyond that is not going to be doing too poorly. Also some traffic on Uhuru Highway as you get out towards the CBD, and coming off of Waiyaki Way, we'll see some traffic as well. I think Jogo Road has some traffic. Landis Road definitely does as you get onto the Kamkunji roundabout, then onto Haile Selassie in and outbound traffic. We'll just call it a mess because I can't think of a better word, at least not at this point. Coming off of Kangundo Road, we've seen some traffic off the jump since 6 a.m. Let's see what happens as you touch on Outer Ring. But apart from that, I think we'll be doing okay. Yeah, it's going to be a sore thumb for you on Mombasa Road. So again, you know, thoughts and prayers because you'll need them. Let's talk through the morning. Spice FM, KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room. It's 9:09 into the final hour of Kenya's biggest conversation for this Tuesday morning, and having conversations around issues affecting us here and in different parts of the world. All right, let me tell you about Loop. There's a shopping festival and it's happening. It's not just an app, this Loop. It is a lifestyle, and it's providing you with the tools and solutions you need to live out your life effortlessly. So with Loop, you can get access to very many things: payments, credit, savings. So you don't have to leave the app to do all the things that you want to do with your money, right? You make savings services while at the same time receiving personalized journeys and deals to complement your interests and needs. So this festive season, Loop is your ultimate plug for all your shopping needs. So through the Loop Shopping Festival, which is ongoing in various malls and is coming to a mall near you. Where are you? There's a mall. It's there. Loop will get you covered with incredible deals from a wide range of merchants, including Hotpoint, Quick Mart, Bata, Talent Carpet Center, Java, Bountiful Safaris, Okoh, Linton's, Mook, Simbisa, Chicken Inn, Galitos, Creamy Inn, Pizza Inn, Shell, Phone Express, Lifestyle Hubs, amongst others. So you want to Loop it this festive season. All these incredible and amazing deals to cater for all your needs at the Loop Shopping Festival. You get incredible deals and offers, plus you get 10% cash back of up to 5,000 shillings at participating partners when you spend 2,000 shillings and above, and you pay with the Loop app or card. So, have you installed the app yet? It's about time you do it, because this season you can win with Loop. Download the app on your Apple Store or Google Play Store and touch on the Discover button and enjoy fantastic, amazing deals. Why wait when you can Loop it? Loop it in the skies as well, CT. Where are you flying to this season?
Well, it depends. If you really want to enjoy diversity and choices, then you look no further than Emirates. And not just Emirates business class, because from Nairobi, you have a choice of 140 destinations. Yes. Just as a starter.
Okay.
Now, if you have determined where it is you want to go, well, what happens is this. There's a starting point, and then there's a journey to the airport. Limousine service.
Nice.
There is boarding the flight and being told, sit over there. Now, the over there doesn't just come with the seat. It comes with a seat that gives you the option of sleeping. The over there doesn't just mean once you've sat there and you're determined whether you should sleep or not, that's the beginning and the end of it. You have choices of what it is you want to eat. And I say choices, man, are they choices? And then what it is you want to accompany the food with. Again, choices galore. What is you want to do? Do you want to work? Do you want to be entertained? Again, my goodness, you'll be spoiled for choice. Now, the English language is a lovely language when it comes to describing these things. When it comes to keeping company with those whom you may be flying with, well, the lounge doesn't just exist on the ground. It exists 40,000 feet in the air. Yes, and you can chit-chat and do whatever it is that people do when they're talking about whatever it is they're talking about. When you land at your destination, again, limousine service to your destination. Fresh, rested, entertained, fed. Emirates business class.
City, and I'd add jet lag onge.
There you go. So if you're traveling this season, that is who you definitely need to be traveling with. Our guest this hour is Alex Munyere, and he is the Chief Disability Services Officer of the National Council of People Living with Disabilities. He's our guest this hour, and we're looking at 20 years of disability inclusion in Kenya. Alex, good morning.
Good morning.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Situation Room.
Thank you.
You're in the hot seat.
It looks very good.
Yes.
It looks wonderful.
Happy to have you here.
Thank you.
And even as we get into that, KCB Foundation is doing some amazing things in terms of youth, when we're talking about inclusion, in terms of youth inclusion, in terms of employment, and just really where you need to be focusing some attention when it comes to that.
Yes, and KCB has recognized that millions of Kenyans get into the job market every year, and we're talking about the youth age between 18 to 34. Therefore, KCB gets in to ensure that these crop of young people that get into the market are skilled and they're ready for the market, and they're doing that by ensuring that they are sponsoring these students in technical training institutions, TVETs, and making sure that they are ready and upskill them to attain the NITA certification. Now, KCB as well is ensuring that this program incubates the enterprises created by these students by offering them business development. Now, when the graduates are ready for the market, what do? Now, their ideas are vetted and for bankability, and they receive credit they qualify for and advance their business interest. Now, this is also a point where KCB Foundation exits and the bank enters to support the business. So KCB recognizes unemployment. What do? Get into improve on your skill. You get out of this training, and they ensure that they not only give you the tool so that you start your business, but they add that by giving you loan facilities so that you can continue. And to get this information, where do you go to? You go to kcbgroup.com/foundation.
And one thing they didn't tell you is that they are sponsoring 2 students in every county, students with disabilities. Every county, they give them scholarship, full scholarship. From secondary school to university.
Now, this is a good thing we invited you here.
Yes. Absolutely.
Because we now have information we didn't have.
That's it.
Amazing. So how about we welcome you in real situation room style, and CT here, I don't know how he does it, but every week rather, he goes to a different African country, and so then every day he gives us a proverb from this country that he's chosen for the week, and he tells us that proverb, and then we would like you to tell us what you hear in that proverb and how you would interpret it. Is that all right? We're really giving you work. We're giving you work to do. No rest.
Okay.
We are in the Republic of Angola. Angola is a country in the western central region of Africa. It's interesting. Very interesting country. There's 37.2 million people. And growing. A very interesting country indeed. The capital is Luanda, and they have many proverbs. And the proverbs are actually, when I look at the array of proverbs, when I was researching into it, some are outrightly hilarious and extremely informative. And one such proverb is the one we have for today. A covered mouth will not have flies.
A covered mouth
will not have flies.
Yes. That is very true, and I know that very well because I come from a community where we have a lot of flies. My community is the Maasai community, where the staple food is milk and meat. Now, in places where there is a lot of milk, you'd expect a lot of cows, and you'd expect a lot of flies flying around looking for anything to eat. And it is true that a covered mouth would not attract any single fly because they are outside the mouth. And if you open your mouth, they will get in. And you know what it means? When they get in, they will come with all their dirt. They will come with all their blessings in quotes. And there you are. Yes.
There you go. So close your mouth.
Yes.
Okay, well.
Shut your mouth.
Shut up. Very simply put. Okay, so I mean, Alex, obviously today we're looking at 20 years of disability inclusion.
Yes.
First of all, can we start off with what the council, it's National Council of Persons with Disability.
Yes.
What does the council do beyond representation?
Actually, per se, the council is the only government agency that is mandated by law to advise the government on issues of disability. So we are created by an act of parliament and the Disability Act 2003. Although the council started existing in 2004 when the late President Kibaki signed the disability bill into law. it was in 2004, but it is 2003. The Act is read as 2003. And currently, as we talk, the Act is being repealed and replaced by a new one. There is a new bill that has gone the stages of first stage and second stage, and we are hoping that it will sail into third stage, and by next year, hopefully by March next year, when we break for Easter, the president will sign a new law governing persons with disabilities in the country. We are mandated to do all aspects of registration. We are mandated to do all aspects of disability advocacy, awareness and support. We do provide assistive devices. We do provide education. As I said, we partner with also other institutions, well-wishers, and KCB is one of the institutions that we have an MOU and a very good understanding that all bright students should not go uneducated, because KCB is coming up and sponsoring at least 2 students per every county. And they also not only provide school fees, we provide other supports like other needs of the children, of the students while in school. They provide them with their basic needs like soap and all the basic needs that a student needs while in school. Now, other than education, we also do the albinism support program, which by coincidence, I am the head of the albinism program in the country. And we provide sunscreen lotion to persons with albinism, all persons with albinism, regardless of your economic status. We give free sunscreen lotion. We also have another program that is well known to every Kenyan, every household, because we have the Inua Jamii program, where we give cash transfer to people with this time severe disabilities. But we thank the ministry, because the other day we had Disability Day, UN Day for Persons with Disabilities on 3rd of December. The Cabinet Secretary, Dr. Alfred Mutua, pronounced and said that it is now going forward that all persons with disabilities will be entitled to cash transfer, regardless of their economic status. There before, we used to have people who are needy receiving cash transfer. But this time round, I think it's going to be like aged elderly person. It's just everybody who attains a disability is going to get a cash transfer.
That's interesting.
Yes.
I want to stop on that point specifically, Alex, because one of the things that we talk about when we're looking across board, people living with disability, is that, and I remember Senator Sigei says this all the time, that it is me, I am the one with it, and so the challenges are with me every day.
Yes.
So there are things that I may need to purchase in order to be able to fit within. Right?
Sure.
So that's why a cash transfer makes sense for everybody living with a disability in the country.
Right.
My apprehension is, is there a proper mapping of the folks in this country who are living with disability? Do we know where they are, who they are? Is there an index? So that by the time we make such a pronouncement, which in its makeup is amazing, but are we able and ready to be able to throw the money behind it?
Now, can I ask you another question? When we did the cash transfer for the elderly, did we have such a such a data.
No, and it was a disaster. And I can give you an example. Just a few weeks ago, I was in Laikipia, and there are old men and women who sit and they're asking questions and they're saying, this money from that time.
Yes.
This is Laikipia.
Yes.
And from that time, we've never received
any single
1 shilling.
1 shilling, yes. What we think is that in the country, people with disabilities are regarded as second-class citizens. And you can see by that example in itself that there was a pronouncement for cash transfer for all elderly. Yet when it came to persons with disabilities, we now start putting stringent measures of knowing whether they are needy, whether they are mapped, whether they are wherever they are. Those issues come up because of we are thinking disability. So I would rather we think broad and we say, if there is a cash transfer for all persons with elderly persons, then all persons with disabilities, and let us cross the river when we reach there.
Let me hold you
just to answer your question. Yes, indeed, yes, we have registered persons with disabilities in the country. We know the numbers. We know the census put us at not very good, but it was 2.2 million persons with in Kenya, living persons with disabilities, and we know that figure is disputed. Now, 2.2 translates to, if we have a population of 50 million, translates to a very low population, a very low percentage. But we know Kenya is a developing country, and we know in every developing country in the world, we have a population of 10% of any population to be persons with disabilities.
You know why I insist, Alex?
Yes.
And, it still remains a question.
Right.
Because we undermine the importance of data and information. So then it becomes very easy for a cabinet secretary or anybody to make a pronouncement and say everybody should get money, which I think is amazing. Like I said, it is absolutely necessary. It is necessary. But can you imagine during COVID what happened when young people were offered jobs, right? Every young person come do what was the name of the program during COVID when young people were getting work to do?
Kazi kwa vijana.
Thank you. Kazi kwa vijana, right? There were people who were earning for work they did not do. There were chiefs who were taking money from the hands of people who were supposed to have done this work. It is an avenue, unfortunately, for people to take the money out of the hands of people living with disability who should have it and are not deserving. That is why I'm saying that the information and data is important, not
Very
just for people living with disability, not just for old people, not just for mothers who need maternity care. The data is very important. Otherwise, people know that if you don't have the numbers, they can't do anything.
And I agree with you.
I think I agree. Just buttress what Ndu is saying. Even the data that we are asking about, it is so that the government that be or those that are responsible are able to budget, because they would give you, say, a budget of 1 billion shillings because that is what they think you deserve. Yet what you need is 2 billion shillings. But what will determine the budgeting of what comes to the people with disability is data.
I 100% agree with all of you that we need data when it is important, and that is why National Council is trying to do what we call mapping and registration, so that we can know exactly how many people with disabilities do we have in the country. That one, I agree with you 100%. But that should not be the impediment. The lack of data should not be the withholding factor for us to withhold this cash transfer in the pretext that we don't have data, but when we come to the elderly and and the vulnerable, we say yes, we are offering them regardless of data.
Okay,
that one I think I disagree. But on the data aspect, I think I agree with you 100%. We need to know where these people are, and that is why we are doing registration and mapping all over. The other day we had asked persons with albinism to come up and register themselves and be mapped. And this is also ongoing as part of the 20 years anniversary of disability inclusion. We are still going on with that exercise of mapping. If you go to the gazetted hospitals all over the country, they still do disability assessment. And that assessment is the one that we are telling our people to use to go and map themselves and register themselves online. This time it's very simplified, that once you get a disability assessment from the hospital, you online register yourself using the e-citizen platform. And that, I think, if we are told to bring the numbers, we have them on our fingertips. So the numbers should not be the kisababu. In Kiswahili they say kisababu. You say something is the reason why. No, the numbers should not be the reason. As much as we say the numbers are important.
Let me ask this question.
Yes.
We are talking about people with disabilities.
Right.
How is it determined? How is disability determined?
Okay, in Kenya, for you to be, for us to say that you have a disability, because disability is as a result of your inability to interact with the environment. And this environment may be physical, attitudinal, or even social, or whatever environment that you are not able to interact with alongside others, right? So, for example, if all of us are one-handed, and it happens that everybody in this room and in this country by extension is only one-handed, we don't have the other hand. So all of us will be one-handed. So if I don't have a hand, I only have one hand, I will not have a disability, because all of us, we all are equal. We don't have the other hand. But if all of us are two-handed and I happen to be only having one hand, then it means I'm not favorably interacting with my environment as equal as you. So that has a disability comes in. And in Kenya, we depend, the National Council, I said we are the government advisor. We are the ones who advise the government on issues of disability. But we depend on the Ministry of Health for them to vet and ascertain the level and the degree of this lack of, right? They use a new guidelines to vet and categorize persons with disabilities in the country. And that report is the one that we use to register you as a person with disability. So it means some people may present themselves to the vetting panel of the Ministry of Health, and they may be told your threshold is 30%, 20%, for example. If your eyesight loss is 20% and mine is 35%, then it means you will not be registered, because the guideline says anybody below or above 30% eyesight loss is the one that is registered. We use that measure to register you. So we have several parameters that we use.
I like your definition. So someone is asking, so if someone is depressed or somebody has a mental condition,
yes,
is that where now the hospital comes in and the health practitioners come in to determine whether this condition is debilitating, and if so, then that person could qualify as being disabled?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So now let me make it a little political. So if you have a group of people who make decisions on your behalf, because yes, you've elected them, And the decisions they make don't favor you. And it's consistent. Year in, year out, the group that comes after them is slightly worse. So there is a disconnect between them and the people they're supposed to represent. And yet they're the ones who make decisions on behalf of these people who elected them. Could we then say that that group of people are disabled?
Yeah, in a way, yes, because they are making wrong decisions on some representation of some facts that are not there, or some facts that are there, then they are not represented well. Then, in a way, yes. But that is why now, as National Council, we use all aspects of, considerations before we arrive at a certain decision. We don't just go by our feelings or other people's feelings. We use documentation and we trust. For example, if that case you've said of a mental handicapping condition, those people who are experts in that area would use their own technical expertise to ascertain your mental capability for them to give that report. And they give professional reports. And that is the report that is used to make a decision. So I want to believe people just don't wake up and decide. People, when they are making decisions, including us, we use laid down procedures and there are documents that we look at
and follow.
Yes.
Let's take a break on that point. We'll come back and continue with this because then looking at 20 years of inclusion, what steps have actually been taken, what hurdles have been crossed, milestones achieved to make sure that we are living in an inclusive society. Alex Onyera is the Chief Disability Services Officer with the National Council of Persons with Disabilities. Let me remind you that the Loop Shopping Festival is actually taking place in various malls and it's coming to a mall near you. Where are you? Is there a mall near you? Then the Loop Shopping Festival is taking place right there. You've covered with incredible deals from a wide range of merchants, including Hotpoint, Quickmart, Bata, the Tile and Carpet Center, Java, Creamy Inn, Pizza Inn, Shell, Phone Express, Lifestyle Hub, amongst others. With Loop, you enjoy the most affordable transaction rates in town across any channel. You make easy payments to other accounts or businesses. You pay all your bills easily and even set up automatic payments, and you get access to quick loans, overdrafts, and buy now, pay later solutions. Be sure to tune in to be able to find out how you will then be able to get access to all the Loop requirements. You need to download the app on your Google App Store or Google Play Store. Why wait when you can Loop it?
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
A holiday in South Africa sounds something like this.
The brunch with girls, the sports,
the paragliding,
the bucket list,
the vibe, the company, everything, the energy.
No, for real, babe.
And we made new friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
And cheers to sweet escapes.
The sweetest.
Your adventure in South Africa is just around the corner. Get 15% off flights when you book a holiday to South Africa on KenyaAirways.com. Come journey with us.
The weather with Spice
And the
FM.
weather in Nairobi, we are experiencing highs of 24 degrees and lows of 15 degrees. Now in Kakamega County, that is the western part of the country, highs of 30 degrees and lows of 15 degrees. Now that we go to Mombasa, highs of 31 degrees and lows of 25 degrees. And in Nyeri town, highs of 25 degrees and lows of 14 degrees. To the lakeside city of Kisumu, highs of 29 degrees and lows of 20 degrees. And to Johannesburg, South Africa, highs of 29 degrees, lows of 17 degrees. And in Kinshasa, Congo, highs of 32 degrees and lows of 23 degrees. Pretty hot in Kinshasa there. And in Paris, France, highs of 8 degrees and lows of 6 degrees. And in China, highs of 6 degrees and lows of negative 3 degrees. Pretty cold in China. That is your weather.
Well, Ndu gave you a clear picture of what is happening in traffic. Now multiply that by 2. That is exactly where we are at the moment. And when I say traffic everywhere, I mean literally everywhere. If you happen to be in a place where there's no traffic, please call us so that we can actually just mention it. But the message is really very clear. Please be careful. Please drive carefully. The roundabouts are not intended for you to drive over. They're intended for you to go round. Okay? Other vehicles are not intended for you to bump into. Please keep a safe distance and enjoy your day.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
10 a.m. And our conversation this morning has been with Alex Munyere, who is the Chief Disability Services Officer with the National Council on People with Disabilities. Our conversation continues, Alex, and just as we went to the break, talking about where are we? It's been 20 years, where maybe 20 years ago we saw that people with disabilities were, sadly, not considered for anything when it came to education, when it came to work, when it came to just being able to move around in society, being able to access certain things in society. What has been achieved from a council point of view, from a national point of view?
Indeed, we have had several achievements. One, since 20 years ago, issues of disability were discussed outside the government, and now there are fully fledged programs that are fully sponsored by the government that are targeting persons with disabilities. We've seen a lot of disability topics being discussed all over. We've seen the public waking up on issues of disability and including persons with disabilities in almost every aspect of representation. Although there are pockets of loopholes here and there, but we've seen even the government embracing the issue of representation. We have parliamentarians who are nominated to represent persons with disabilities. We have board members nominated on the platform of disability. And across board, we even have MCAs and all that. And even small boards like school boards. We've seen the Ministry of Education embracing disability and saying that out of the 9 board members, at least one person should be nominated to represent persons with disabilities, which is a huge gain on ourselves, because we believe that when things are discussed when we are there, we get to give our views, we get to give our, what we think on issues. And of course, you don't expect Tanzanians to sit and discuss about Tanzania, and a Kenyan is representing a Tanzanian in issues where the Tanzanians are discussing. So we say when things are being discussed and representation, we must be involved because we are part of the citizens of this country. Now, over and above that, we've seen other programs coming up, like what I said about Inua Jamii. We have the Inuka scholarships. We have the sunscreen lotions. All these were initiated in this span of 20 years. And we've seen mentorship even going a notch higher. There was a time in 2017 we had the leading candidate in KCP being a candidate with albinism. And this to us was a huge gain and a huge milestone. We have seen people like Judge Mumbi Ngugi and, other very notable people like Maura, the government spokesman, other disability representatives. During Uhuru's time, we saw Josephta Mukobe, who was a short stature representing persons with disabilities, and all these representation. The other day we had a commissioner in the Ombudsman Commission called Commissioner Sati. He is a person with hearing impairment and using sign language, and it is huge. The conversation is moving towards where we would want it to be, but we are not yet there. Yes, because we still have pockets of misrepresentation. We still have people, and going back to his question, who are enjoying, and I didn't mention about tax exemption. We have a huge tax exemption for persons with disabilities. Those who are salaried up to 150,000 per month is exempted from taxation. If you have a disability, then you want to import a car or any other assistive device, because a vehicle is categorized in those assistive devices, you are exempted from paying duty. Now we have a big, huge category of people, Kenyans, we are Kenyans, who now do not have one hand. And documents, you look at documents vizuri, is a gentleman like what you are, but document, you don't have one hand, just because you want to access the services that are offered for persons with disabilities. The other day, our ED, by the way, he's Harun Hassan, EBS. He held somebody in his office who came to complain that he was not registered, simply because he was deaf and he could not even talk, and he was using sign language. So, and by his wisdom, our ED asked the guy, actually his phone rang, and he said, okay.
This guy who came to the office.
Yes, the phone rang. Yeah. And the guy was asked, please, can you switch off the phone and as we continue?
And he switched it
off. He switched it off.
Oh, my goodness.
So the guy, he knew that the guy was just an imposter. And we have several imposters in this country, and this is what we are trying to do, and that is what has subjected a lot of persons with disabilities a lot of pain, because for you to access tax exemption, you go to the disability vetting I talked about, You are vetted, and then documents are sent to us. You are registered, and then you go to apply for tax exemption. Your documents are subjected to another vetting by KRA and us and the Ministry of Health, and then you are vetted, and then we subject to a lot of rigorous checks. But still, Kenyans are ninani, or Kenya ninani. They still vet.
Let me ask you this question.
Yes.
The association that you...
National Council.
Yes, that you are part and parcel of. What is it that they have as a plan or as a policy to ensure that the support of those who are not living with any disability is made available to you? Because say I want to be part of that particular association. I do not have any known disability. Do I? Yeah, no, I don't. What would I need to do to join? Or am I exempt, or must I get to a point where I have a disability for me to be able to be part of that organization?
Indeed, you must. As a basic rule, for you to come into our database, you must have a disability.
Okay. So how does one support an entity such as yours without necessarily being part and parcel of that database?
Yes, we have partners. Now, if you want to come in as a partner, then you will come in as a partner, just like what we said, KCB Foundation is a partner, and all the other, equity and the rest of, even individuals. By the way, let me tell you, there is a lady, and by coincidence, she happened to be a lady with disabilities. She was working in the UN, and she happened to come to Kenya. She was a Kenyan, and when she was on her last days, because she died, she was called McGowan. She died, and she left all her will to be taken to National Council to benefit persons with disabilities. And part of that will is what is now currently supporting 4 students with disabilities who are vetted. Normally, we pay for school fees using McGowan's funds. And yes, you can join us if you don't have a disability. And if you have a disability, you can join us as a beneficiary. And you can also join us as a partner, just like what McGowan did. And yes.
And Alex, as the city has brought up that conversation now, it is a question of people with disability and the other demographic. Now, how do we improve engagement between the two sides, pretty much with everybody, so that both parties understand the nitty-gritties that come with people with disabilities, so that I see a parking area that is designated for a person with disabilities, I respect that. That when I'm putting up a building, I make sure that things like ramps that are there, lifts that are needed, is a conversation that is ongoing, that it is not only when the government rises up or when people with disabilities say we demand this, that it happens, but it is inculcated into our nature and just who we are as a people. How do we improve that engagement?
That is a very difficult question. And as a sociologist, I want to believe that is very difficult. To inculcate a culture in people is not an easy walk in the park. Because I talked about people impersonating to be persons with disabilities. The same, you've given an example of people coming to see a parking reserved for persons with disabilities, and then you just drive your car and park there. And all these things would come after long-term engagements, like the engagements that we are having today, the engagement that Spice FM is supporting us to inform the public that indeed persons with disabilities are part and parcel of our society. We need now to respect them. We need to give them their space. We need to support them, not really demean them, not look down upon them, but we need to really give them their space. If it is a reserved parking, give it. If it is you construct a structure that has disability accessibility. The other day, God blessed me with some funds, and I constructed my own house. And out of that, in the whole village, I did some ramps to come to my house, and people could not believe. You mean you can do this to a private house?
Yeah.
Yes, I did it. Because I know disability is a club that anybody can join. I know my disability is albinism. You may not join it because it is genetic. But today, you are here with your full legs. Tomorrow, you could be on a wheelchair, like our executive director. He was a district officer, DO. But unfortunately, he was involved in an accident, and he lost the feelings of the hands and the legs. But we thank God because the hands came back, but the legs, because he had some spine injuries, the legs were not functional up to date. So anybody, the late Kibaki signed that bill when he was on a wheelchair. That was demonstrating that anybody can become a person with disability. Now, just a minute. My own father, when I was born, he was laughed at by a friend who they were drinking together. And I don't know, karma, maybe, because the same gentleman who was laughing at my father and saying, "Where your wife went sleeping with that father, that Catholic priest," and my father could not be given opportunity to drink with the rest of the old men. The same, I'm telling you, a real experience on my personal issue. The same guy, Akapata, he got a child with albinism. Real.
Disability is a club that anyone
So, you may not have it, but your children or your grandchildren, you may find yourself into the same situation.
So pretty much 20 years of disability inclusion in Kenya. Where are we?
We have made very big strides. And just as I said, indeed, we want to thank the government that they have been able to embrace disability. But of course, this time round, we also want to say that conversations on issues of disability, like today, maybe he didn't know what to do when he has a disability. And today, we've told people that you need to present yourself to the Ministry of Health and all that. A lot of information needs to go out because people do not know this information. People do not know that National Council has a full program that is supporting education for children who are children with disabilities. They don't know. So we need to create conversations. Like we want to thank the Standard Group. Standard Group of companies, or what do you call yourself?
The Standard Group.
Yes. We want to thank them because several times during this 20 years anniversary of disability inclusion, they have offered us with opportunities to come and articulate our issues. And this is huge. We really want to laud this. And in any case, if there are Kenyans outside listening to Spice FM today, we would want to urge them to switch off the others because maybe the others are not embracing disability. And, for any standard of a developed media, or even any developed country, there is a saying that says, show me how they treat they are vulnerable, I'll tell you their level of development.
Absolutely.
So you cannot claim to reach out to 2 million, 10 million Kenyans, yet you are looking down upon persons with disabilities. Shame on you. So Standard, you are ahead of the ones who are bragging that they are reaching out to millions. Yes.
I mean, you're looking at a situation whereby we keep saying that the true measure of a country is how the most vulnerable in that country at any particular time are treated. How they're included, how the young ones are included in school, how they access medical care, how they're included in the workforce. And those are the things that we're looking at across board, and to continue to urge and appeal. And even as we go to that, just the last question, because we're rounding out to the end of this conversation, but when we talk about asking people to change their attitude, should we not be looking at unpacking what has been added on for years? Try to unpack that. And that's why conversations like this are important. And that's why the awareness is important. For you to be able to say, look, somebody living with disability is not condemned to death. This is somebody who can actually operate in society, and probably better than a full able-bodied individual. So can we not make more by keeping the conversations bubbling? I keep saying not back burner conversations, but front and center bubbling, full bubble conversations, that they should be happening every day. They should be happening in our space. And that is how you'll be able to drop some of these historic, traditional feelings.
Yes, and to extend that conversation, I think the basic thing would be to allocate more resources to the National Council for Persons with Disabilities. Currently, we are given only 50 million as compared to one constituency gets around 120 million. So we are only given money equivalent to 2 constituencies, and we are expected to do programs across the country. Across the country. So we feel that we are underfunded in a way, because we cannot even sponsor such programs like this. We would want to pass information, but somehow our hands are tied, because if we had resources, we would sponsor like programs, like weekly programs on disability awareness and attitude change and all that. But we cannot. We just believe and trust that well-wishers are coming on board and assisting us. And there is nothing as bad as waiting for somebody just to come and help you without you saying, this is what I want.
A good note to end on, and I thank you for that. And that's why we need to keep these conversations alive.
Yes.
Alex Munyera is the Chief Disability Services Officer of the National Council of Persons with Disability. Thank you so much for being here this morning. And thank you, everybody, for being part of Kenya's biggest conversation this Tuesday. It's now 10 a.m. We meet again by God's grace tomorrow morning.
Wow. Such a short time.
Good morning. This is the News Wire. I'm